smoking some of the best dope God ever put around here.
JustinFREAKIN is a formidable voice in the culture.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories.
You live in sexual anarchy.
What'd Lester ever do to you?
This is the Control live with JustinFREAKIN.
Lester had sex with Milord's mom. Okay, well, did your mom like it? Was she into it? Like, Lester's a hot dude. If your mom was into it and she had a good time and it was consensual, then, like, good for your mom. And there's no reason to get mad at Lester. I'm sorry, clinically. I apologize. I did not mean to question your motives. So let me catch you guys up on what's been going on with me. First of all, we're not on TikTok today. And I can't figure out why. I don't know why. I can't, like, TikTok has not told me I'm suspended. But, like, I never got a notification as to why I was suspended. Which stream, what suspended me. I can still post to TikTok, but I can't go live for 7 days. And we didn't smoke any pot on TikTok. I don't think we covered anything that was all that graphic. Apparently Epstein will get you banned, and I did one of my streams was titled about Epstein, Clinton reacting to the Epstein files, so perhaps that was it. Talking about pop, maybe, but the consequence of that is today YouTube people on the YouTube vertical, they get to participate in 420 with us. They get the whole countdown, and I get to be on camera and shit because there's no TikTok today. We do have Kick. You can go over to Kick, and if you were to comment on Kick, your comments will show up because, like, we're officially on Kick, not just, you know, piratedly on, if that makes sense to anybody. Now, yesterday, the ISP was doing work on the property, and they cut my internet. So I'm sitting here at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Internet goes completely dead. It took us a little bit to figure out what was up, right? Like, it took a little bit to troubleshoot exactly what was going on. So I'm gonna blame me not being on yesterday on that, and not say that I already had plans to go to the pot store with Curiouser and that I wasn't going to be on anyway. We're going to blame it on the ISP cutting my internet. But we're on our way to the weed store, and I've got, like, because her phone's hooked up to the account, right? So I'm on her phone talking to the ISP people. And they're asking me, like, you know, do you know that your router's plugged in? I'm like, yes. They're like, well, are you home? No, but I know. I should just told them I was at home. You know, I should have lied to them. Like, no, but I know the router's plugged in. You know, the cats didn't magically unplug my router 5 minutes ago when I walked out the door. So so by the time we figure out exactly what's going on, it's like 7:30 in the evening or something. It's about 6, 7 in the evening. And I'm on with tech support, and they're like, oh, we'll schedule a technician to come out. How does Tuesday sound? And I'm like, God damn, this is like a whole week. But no. I look again, and it's Tuesday the 3rd, and I'm like, they're going to send somebody out today. So, like, I take a bong out there with Curious, because we had another repairman. As I'm doing this with the internet, there's another repairman here. So we already had all marijuana put up, and we just got back from the weed store, and, like, she had come in here and smoked. So that repairman leaves, I walk out with another bong, and I'm like, all right, now we can get high. And I'm up telling her, but I think there's a repairman coming from the ISP. Force a habit, I guess. Just don't have weed out with, you know, repairmen coming over and shit. You fucking 15 years ago, I got busted in my apartment at college. Apparently, like, before I'd walked out the door, I blew smoke up towards the smoke detector. They came while I was gone, said it reeked of weed, which I'm sure it did. And I got written up and shit about it. Do you know how I got out of it that way? First of all, I had a girlfriend at the time, and people loved her. Like, she was just a very likable person. So I took her with me to the meeting because she stayed there all the time. And I told them that we had been, because there were walking trails. We lived, like, right next to a mountain. There were walking trails everywhere. I told her we'd been on the walking trails and we got skunked. And she's like, marijuana doesn't smell like skunk. And I'm like, yeah, it does. And she like, okay, I'm going to reschedule a hearing for you a week from now, and I'm going to talk to some people. And we came back, and she's like, all right, people tell me that marijuana and skunk smell the same, so there you go. I got in some shit. But ironic, you didn't miss anything. You got here just in time. Then I got in trouble with the head of the communications department was apparently a big feminist and shit. And she got upset about me having a stripper on the radio show. So like I had to have a meeting with her. And my girlfriend at the time wanted to go with me to that meeting because she had been in a play that woman had died. I did not know this woman. Dr. Kinzer's her name. I'm going to go ahead. I'll just fucking out her. Dr. Kinzer was her name. She's married to the bra salesman from Seinfeld, too. Sid Farkas. She's married to Sid Farkas from Seinfeld. I had him for a class. It was wild. Yeah. There were several strippers that were feminists. And the one I had on the show, she was a student at the college and everything. But this is 2012. I'm seen as edgy and problematic. This is more than 15 years ago, isn't it? No, 13 years ago. I'm edgy and problematic and everything. So like, she's calling me into her office because she wants to dress me down and everything. My girlfriend at the time wanted to go with me, and she was like, we'll smooth everything over. You know, I had her as a director. I'm like, oh, no, I don't need you. I can take care of it. No. Justin should have took his girlfriend and let her do all the talking. I got, that's when I lost my job. I was the radio station manager, and I lost my job as the radio station manager. Which is something I wear as a badge of honor because I got fired from a volunteer position. How about that? Okay, so we got a lot of shit going on. We've got live debate on the House floor. We got bullshit going on in the Senate. I think they're both debating war powers. I do believe. We got Tim Kaine in the membrane right now. Nope, no, he just wrapped up.
Lujan, Markey, Merkley, Murray, Padilla, Peters, Reed, Rosen, Sanders, Schatz, Schiff, Schumer.
Yeah, this is Tim Kaine was wrapping up moments ago.
States Armed Forces from hostilities within or against the Islamic Republic of Iran that have not been.
Schumer spoke.
Paul, for joining me and Senator Kaine in this important.
This is the Senate voting on the resolution.
Now, Mr. President, today
on more powers.
Face a choice. Stand with the American people who are tired of war in the Middle.
Trump also, right now, he may have wrapped up already. Yeah, we'll take the end of this, see if he took some questions.
To build the data centers, to build the power plants, but people just are.
This was Trump with some sort of round table from the White House.
This round table with the ratepayer protection pledge, Mr. President.
What's this nigga? They had to shut the station down temporarily.
The people are worried about.
I don't remember that happening.
The data centers build new power plants. It leads to energy stability, affordable, reliable.
But your joke could have gone over my head.
For American ratepayers, helping them win the affordability battle that you're leading on behalf of this great team that you've assembled, and I just want to say thank you for your leadership on
Well, his neck appears to be looking better.
I hear you're doing very well in your race. He's running for a very important seat in a great state that I like a lot. It's always been good to me, and it's going to be good to you, and it has been good to you. So good luck with that. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're going to do good. Michael, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. You have been talking about this issue beginning as early as the campaign in July when we released AI action.
They're still yagging. Maybe we could get some questions here. No, it's just a round table ass kissing.
They announced, in fact, last week that we're providing free AI professional training for all small businesses across America. And
woohoo! Free AI professional training.
we're particularly proud.
Did you hear that, guys? AI is going to save you.
Training program, and we're committed to train 100,000 electrical workers and 30,000 new apprentices across the country. On top of that, we're excited about significantly growing these programs. We've heard the pledge. Finally, Mr. President, as you said, the American grid needs to be.
I'm not going to say it.
So
I'm not going to say it.
Well, two quick things. We pioneered demand response with data centers. So we, with technology, will move workloads out of the way during extreme weather events to make room for the community. And second, we're applying AI itself to the grid to increase capacity in the grid. So again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for convening us. The benefits from AI, responsibly delivered, are immense for America's businesses, for America's communities.
I mean, if it wasn't for Trump, I'd probably say yes to this orgy couch.
Thank you very much. Doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Gwen?
Mr. President, I want to thank you for your. Thank you. That's right here.
I like his tie. Check his tie out.
Because of your work on this,
What the fuck is going on?
we will win the race with in AI with China and succeed in delivering.
He's had some cool days. She's been licking her lips at me the whole time.
As you know, XAI builds huge supercomputers and data centers, and we build them fast. Currently, we're building one on the Tennessee-Mississippi state line.
I believe he's falling asleep right here.
We'll take extensive additional steps to continue to reduce costs of electricity.
Low
for our
energy
neighbors.
Trump.
Mr. President, we want to be on your team to deliver a big win for the American people. XAI will therefore commit to develop 1.2 gigawatts of power as our supercomputer's primary power source, and that will be for every additional data center as well.
You don't wear no white hats.
The largest global megapack power installation.
That's what Trump was doing moments ago. If you would like to join me for 420 on the East Coast, it is happening in about a minute and a half. Once again, we're not on TikTok today. So YouTube people, you get to participate. If you are watching on YouTube Vertical right now, you get to participate in 420 with us in just under a minute and a half. Flo, I hope you are well. Sports cards. Peevil wants a snigget. Warlord, my friend. Byronic, clinically. My lord. Good people in here. Holiday. Always a pleasure. Saw Holiday this morning over in Lenny's chat. Accidents waiting to happen. Fuzzy Simba. Got in early. Princess Kimberly. Fire resist. Oh shit, yes, I will do the rundown on what all happened in the election yesterday. But one of the biggest pieces of news coming out of the election is how one Mr. Dan Crenshaw has lost his seat. Drake, my friend. Good to see you. It's about 30 seconds from 420 on the East Coast. You're welcome to join us even if you're not on the East Coast. We're not snobby over here. In about 15 seconds, we're going to participate in 420 in the Eastern Time Zone in this here American United States of yada yada. Light one up, tip one back, East Coast peeps. Yes, we are going to talk about Jasmine Crockett and the controversy in Dallas. Had to draw the Texas Supreme Court in. Lemon cheesecake. That's what I'm smoking right now. Lemon cheesecake. Yesterday I had two different kinds of cheeses. I got blue cheese X OG 18. No, OG 15. I got blue cheese. Blue cheese weed. All right, do you guys want to check in with the Senate and its vote on the War Powers Act, the House? Currently debating the War Powers Act. This is
in Gaza.
Congressman Rokana.
Simply put, we have lost our way. We are back to the law of the jungle, where might makes right and where the Middle East descends into a Hobbesian war of all against all. President Eisenhower warned that every warship built, every bomb deployed,
how did your alcohol you brewed the other day come out,
is a
Lord?
hospital and school forgone. A world in arms, he said, is stealing the hope.
Blinkley was talking about making hash, and I was like, my Lord made some alcohol.
The vote on Iran is not a
Rocky, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you.
It is a profoundly moral vote. It
Rick
is
Manchego.
our resources towards healing our own people.
It's a fun name to say. Good to see you, Rick.
Jobs that restore dignity. Housing that shelters.
You got another 19 days? Okay.
Raining destruction on other nations.
That's what I was asking clinically. I was like, I don't know about how long the hash takes. Can you smoke it right away? It's got to dry for a few days,
An
doesn't it?
America that strives to end cycles of violence rather than ignite them.
Never done it
An
myself.
America that cooperates with other nations rather than bullying them into submission. An America committed to
This is live on the House floor. They're debating the War Powers
literacy
Act.
to advance our shared humanity. An America that is respected in the world again. The world needs an America that finds its moral center, Mr. Speaker. Let us rise to this historic.
I know, Rocky, you're
In
fine.
this body, let us declare with
It's
courage
all
and
good.
clarity that we reject this illegal and unjust.
You recognize your
war in
mistake.
Iran. Let us choose moral renewal over further moral decay.
Oh, shit, Rick, that
Thank you, Mr.
sucks.
Ranking Member.
The gentleman yields, and the gentleman from New York.
Were you trying to grow outside or inside?
Florida is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, let me tell you why not to trust what was just said as the gentleman walks out. Here's what he voted.
Oh, God, I don't remember this asshole's
Iran's
name.
ongoing nuclear escalation poses a serious threat to the United States and its partners. That's literally what he voted for. Use all means necessary to prevent Iran.
He looks like Baraka from
To me, that seems pretty damn imminent.
Mortal
Mr. Speaker,
Kombat.
I'm pleased to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Texas, Chairman of the Subcommittee on Europe, Mr. Self.
Gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you for yielding, Mr. Chairman. I rise here in response to my colleague from across the aisle. I thought we were
Oh, good
talking about
Lord.
the Powers Act and not the
This is
Democrats'
Skullface
programs.
from Metal Gear
That's what I'm
Solid
going to
5.
do. President Trump's decision to strike Iran is not starting a forever war.
Torchy, welcome in.
A forever war. For half a century, the Islamic Republic of Iran has cast a shadow over the Middle East and trapped the region in a dark age. When the regime chants death to America, death to Israel, they mean it. The Islamic Republic is responsible for the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans.
I'm not high enough for this, like, fucking skeleton talking to me.
Including up to 30,000 in just the last few weeks. Iran has slaughtered more
I like being able to smoke on stream again.
other terrorist regime in the world, and they will continue to kill Americans until they are stopped. Iran is the #1 sponsor of terrorism in the world by non-state actors, something that's not even contemplated by the War Powers Act. The regime funds trains and equips countless Islamic terrorists.
It funds trains.
The rebels in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and many others across
Gonna make all my autistic friends happy.
region.
Iran likes to
Iran
fund
has leveraged
trains.
these terrorists to wage war against and kill Americans and countless civilians throughout the region. Just last weekend in my home state, a gunman horrifically killed 3 innocent people and injured 4 others in Austin, Texas, while reportedly
Because it's just another day.
wearing property of Allah and a shirt with the Islamic Republic of Iran flag on it. While law enforcement continues its
Ooh, I got an update on that story that's
into
wild.
connection with the Islamic Republic, Americans must understand the enemy is.
But I don't remember what it was.
The current regime in Iran is the poster child for Islam and Sharia law, a culture of violence and domination that is totally incompatible with individual freedoms, our Constitution.
Good question, my lord.
Islam.
I mean, good question, warlord.
To our Constitution.
Too many lords in here. God
By
damn it.
conducting this joint operation with our partners in the region to defend against tyranny, We are defending Western civilization. Furthermore, the Iranian people have overwhelmingly demonstrated a clear will to overthrow and change the radical regime. Tens of thousands of civilians have sacrificed their lives as a testimony to this point. By giving the green light to epic fury, President Trump is giving the Iranian people a fighting chance to alter the course of history in the Middle East and the world. As the Article 2 branch, the President is undertaking his constitutional duty as Commander-in-Chief to defend the United States from a tyrannical, murderous Islamic regime. Finally, I would also like to note that since the War Powers Act was enacted, every president, both Republican and Democrat, has argued that this law is unconstitutional. Instead of airing personal grievances with the president, the American people and our service members would be better off if Congress focused on reopening the Department of Homeland Security to prevent attacks on American soil.
30 seconds, please.
And support the president in executing his Article 2 duty. While I agree that this body should engage in discussions about the War Powers Act, this is not the appropriate time. U.S. troops are currently in harm's way, and they need to have our full-throated support. Full stop.
What's up, friend?
My colleagues.
How are you? Did I say your name right?
And I yield back.
Gentleman yields on the
Reserve.
Florida.
Can I just call you Ho?
Gentleman from New York is recognized.
As I now yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Ohio, an esteemed member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Representative Warren Davidson.
You guys throw esteemed around.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Warren Davidson, and I love this country.
Yeah, you look like a Warren.
More than 30 years ago, I enlisted in the infantry. My chain of command later helped me earn an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point. I was commissioned as an infantry officer serving in the 75th Ranger Regiment, the 101st Airborne, Rakkasans, and the Old Guard. Then and now, I swore an oath to support and defend our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Make no mistake, Iran is an enemy of the United States.
Yeah, so's my oven,
As the
Ho.
military engages them, they do so justly. Unfortunately, they are not yet doing so constitutionally, and that's why we're here today. For some, this debate will be about whether we should even be fighting in Iran. For me, the debate is more fundamental. Is the President of the United States, regardless of the person holding the office, empowered to do whatever he wants? That's not what our Constitution says. Is he empowered to do whatever he wants for 60 or 90 days? That's not what the War Powers Act says. Is there any limit to executive authority whatsoever? I rise in support of this War Powers resolution today because the moral hazard posed by a government no longer constrained by our Constitution is a grave threat.
Good on this fucker.
Threat to a government no longer constrained by the plain meaning of words is not new for Democrats. Recall that Democrats needed help answering, what is a woman? Unfortunately, Republicans now want to claim they can't answer, what is a war? This debate isn't even new. Democrat President Harry Truman obstructed a vote on the Korean War, pretending it was instead a, quote, UN police action. Republican Senator Taft from Ohio insisted in vain that Congress should not shirk its duty to vote on declaring war or at least to authorize the conflict. Instead, Congress then, as it has in the past, passively cut checks to fund the war that they refused to authorize. This dereliction of duty is commonly mocked as an example of constitutional avoidance, and it contributed to the passage of the War Powers Act. President Trump's America First message was supposed to be a rejection of the globalist war machine, whose endless wars have left America less free, less safe, and more burdened by debt. On the other hand, President Trump has been reluctant to embrace war and has been incredibly successful in diplomacy. In this case, war may well be necessary, but it is far more pressing that we restore a government small enough to fit within the Constitution. We can afford a government that small and no other. America is a republic, not an empire. So I encourage everyone to honor their oath and support our Constitution. Vote yes on this resolution. I yield back.
The gentleman from
Good on this dude.
And the gentleman from New York reserves. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Michigan, Chairman of the Subcommittee on South and Central Asia, Mr. Huizenga.
Huizenga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to Chairman Mast. And
And my friend from Ohio, my Republican friend, knows I deeply respect him, his service to our country, and his consistency, frankly. That's something that we're not seeing from many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, and that is to be commended. We have a different opinion on whether this is legal or not. We all know that the reason we are
again, this is live on the House floor.
For nearly half a century, the Iranian regime has terrorized the globe with acts of cowardly violence through its own forces and proxy militias, namely Hamas, the Houthis, the Hezbollah, whom they have provided military, political, and diplomatic and monetary aid. They have killed approximately 1,000 Americans and maimed thousands of others, both Americans and Arabs, with roadside bombs and other IEDs. We've seen all the videos online with drones and missiles hurtling into malls, hospitals, and hotels. This has to stop. During his first term, President Trump imposed a maximum pressure campaign in response to President Obama's lack of action regarding Iran, and that crippled Iran's ability to operations and fund their terror network. How do I know that, Mr. Speaker? Because as a member of the Financial Services Committee, where all of those sanctions originated, I worked on those very sanctions. However, years later, the Biden administration found those moves too far and harsh on Iran and refused to enforce those sanctions. Sanctions are only as good and useful as their willingness to enforce them. During this period, Iranian crude production topped 3 million barrels a day, greater by more than a factor of 7 during the maximum pressure campaign, allowing the Iranian regime to continue to finance its brutality internationally and domestically. Congress attempted to reverse course by passing legislation to codify the maximum pressure campaign measures. That's why the House of Representatives passed my bill, the No U.S. Financing for Iran Act, by an overwhelming bipartisan majority during the 118th.
So yeah, once again, this is live in the House. We'll check back in with them later. The Senate also voting currently on their version of the War Powers Resolution. Shelley, welcome in. This is the Senate floor.
Mr. Sullivan, no.
I don't know if this is the main vote or one of their, tertiary votes. This is live on the Senate floor currently. Let's go over. Yesterday was an election day. I'm sorry I was not with you for election coverage. Let's go to our boy Harry Yinton breaking down what happened in the Texas primary where James Tallarico winning over Jasmine Crockett. However, Jasmine Crockett might be pulling a Blue and On style stop the steal bullshit.
Just in from Texas. This is interesting. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett conceded to James Tallarico in the Democratic Senate primary there. Notable because it was a hotly contested race and there were some questions about voting there, but she has now conceded, meaning he has a clear path all the way to November. Not so clear on the Republican side, where there is a runoff between Attorney General Ken Paxton and the incumbent Republican Senator John Cornyn. So we'll see over the next 3 months who wins there. With us now, CNN Chief Data Analyst Harry Yinton. But we're not focused on who's running. That might not be the most important thing here. The most important thing here might be who's voting.
Who is voting? And I would say the word to describe it for Democrats, tremendous. Tremendous turnout. I mean, woof! Texas Democratic Senate primary turnout. The highest ever was this primary. We're already up to 2.3 million, and that's
God damn.
2% of the estimated voting. That will climb ever higher. The 2000s average was less than 1 million. They've more than doubled the average turnout for Texas Senate Democratic primaries. The Democrats came out and voted. This beats the old record, which was 2.2 million, and that was in a presidential primary year between Obama and Clinton, and this beat it. Democrats really enthusiastic. As I said, the word to describe this is Tremendous.
I can't even believe it beat 2008. People, if you can remember back that far, that was such an important race in Texas. There's so much focus, and there were still more people voting in this one than that one in 2008. How about as a share of the people who voted overall?
It's not just that this 2.3 million is such a large portion, the largest ever for a Texas Senate Democratic primary. It's that more people voted in the Democratic primary than the Republican primary. Look at this. Share of Texas midterm primary ballots. Look at this. The 2000s average. If you look at the 2000s, on average, you see this: Republicans outvote Democrats. More people choose the Republican ballot than the Democratic ballot in midterm primaries by 60% to 40%, a margin of 3-2. But look so far, Democrats, more people are actually choosing the Democratic ballot. This is extremely, extremely unusual, 51% to 49%. And so far, there have actually been more of the Republican ballots estimated to be counted than Democrats. So this margin may climb ever higher. And I will note that this is the first time Democrats outvoted Republicans in a midterm primary season in Texas since 2002. So a lot of Democrats voting and more Democrats voting than Republicans. As I said, tremendous for Democrats.
And you said that has potential national implications, because when something like this happens, it usually means the party that benefits.
Every single midterm since 2006, the party that votes more in primaries goes on to win the House of Representatives. And right now in Texas, a traditionally red state, more Democrats are voting. You transition that nationally, it's very likely that more Democrats will be voting than Republicans in primaries.
All right, let's talk about the Republican runoff between the incumbent Senator John Cornyn and Ken Paxton.
I was making sure they were going to cover that.
3 months from now. Right now, as we're still counting, Cornyn has most votes, but what are the prediction markets saying?
Yeah, okay. You know, the two of them are going over Paxton, Cornyn. What do the prediction markets say? How's your prediction market in terms of who is going to actually win?
Give a shit what the prediction market says.
This is just such a mess. A phrase I often use: what a dumpster fire. I mean, this is as close as you basically can get. 54% chance for Ken Paxton, despite at this point having fewer votes in the initial round than John Cornyn, the incumbent, a 44% chance. But really, this is as close as it can be. This is as close as can be. It's going to be a knockout, drag-out fight over the next few months that ultimately may come down to
one man.
One man.
Donald Trump.
Right. Donald John Trump. Who he gets behind, that can make the difference. But at this point, I mean, these two are going to be going together.
I don't think he's announced yet, but he's announced that he will
in the fall. If in fact there's some really bad blood left over.
Okay, talk to me about that. If it helps the Democratic chances, what does that do to the overall odds in the U.S. Senate?
Yeah, overall odds of the U.S. Senate. This is just a segment which is just great news for Democrats.
Okay. So today he said that he would soon endorse one of the two candidates in the Republican Senate runoff, appearing to heed calls within the GOP to diffuse what is expected to be a bruising and expensive race. In a Truth Social post, Mr. Trump said that he would call for the candidate who does not receive his endorsement to immediately drop out of the contest, which is headed to a May 26th runoff. Is that fair? Mr. Trump wrote, "We must win in November." Neither Senator John Cornyn, who was seeking a fifth term, nor Ken Paxton, the scandal-ridden Texas Attorney General challenging Mr. Cornyn from the right, received a majority of the vote in the Republican primary. Less than 2 percentage points separated the rivals in a pivotal contest that could ultimately determine whether Republicans maintain their narrow majority in the Senate in November.
And what are we talking about here? I mean, this is, I think, the biggest change that we have seen in the national picture, which was all along we thought that the Democrats would win back the House of Representatives. That was the most likely possibility. But at this point, look at this. Look at the change in odds from a year ago, the chance of winning the Senate. Republicans had an 81% chance a year ago. Look at this. It is falling.
If Paxton is the nominee, that gives Democrats the best chance of winning. If Cornyn is the nominee, he'll probably get reelected.
Through the floor, falling through the floor. Now it's just a 56% chance. Democrats' chances way up to a 44% chance.
And it's so much worse than fucking polling.
They're likely to lose, but for the Senate as well.
That is a big change, Harry. Great to have you back.
And you're tremendous.
Very much. Election overtime. There will be a runoff between Republican incumbent Senator John Cornyn and the state's Attorney General Ken Paxton.
Leslie Hunt didn't even come anywhere close.
50% of the vote in the Senate.
Paxton has a shit ton of baggage. He's still like an indicted
over the next 3 months.
Head of law enforcement. That's why he's not been prosecuted.
To allow a flawed, self-centered, and shameless
Because he's the head of law enforcement in the state.
Everything we've worked so hard to build over these many years.
John Cornyn has failed us time and time again. In his over 40 years of office, you cannot name one single accomplishment that he's done to help the state of Texas.
And he seems very boring.
So the runoff there is May 26th, and the winner will face state lawmaker James Tallarico, who won the Democratic primary overnight, defeating Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Control of the Senate could be at stake here. The Texas race could
Tallarico doing a lot better than I thought he would.
Arlette signs after a long night in Dallas. Good morning, Arlette.
But he ran a great campaign.
Good morning, John. Republicans here in Texas are bracing for an expensive and potentially bruising runoff contest between Senator John Cornyn and and Attorney General Ken Paxton. But on the Democratic side, the ticket is set. State Representative James Tallarico defeated Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Tallarico really was an unknown figure in Texas politics just a few months before he had launched his campaign. But he really rose to popularity with a message that was centered on faith and unity, and talking about the need to appeal across the political spectrum.
I know Wesley Hunt is the guy that I thought was Bobby Lashley from the WWE, and it was like a whole thing, and I showed my friend the picture, and he's like, bro, that's totally not Bobby Lashley. I'm like, it looks just like him. He's like, no, it doesn't, other than the fact that he's black and bald. Big muscular dude. It looks nothing like him. I'm like, oh my God. So I guess I'm really racist. I had to apologize for that.
Democrats would need to bring in independent voters and disillusioned Republicans here in a state like Texas. Last night or overnight, he told his supporters that he believes this is sending a message to the nation at a time when the temperature in politics is incredibly high.
This is proof that there is something happening in Texas. Tonight, the people of our state gave this country a little bit of hope. And a little bit of hope is a dangerous thing.
Now, Congresswoman Crockett really entered into this race with
I'm sad to see her go.
She was a Democratic firebrand, well known on the national level. She has yet to officially concede to Tallarico, as far as we know. Last night, she spoke to reporters saying she didn't think results would be available last night, and talked about
she has conceded now,
relating to rules changes that caused some confusion for voters as they head to their polling locations. She said that she believes there has been a disenfranchisement of some voters here in Texas. But on the Republican side, we are expecting this to be quite a contentious battle. Things have already been heated between Cornyn and Paxton, and that is expected to continue in the coming weeks. We heard Cornyn and Paxton both.
I don't see either of them dropping out if Trump. Like, is Cornyn just going to roll over and take it if Trump picks Paxton, which you would assume he would? And I definitely don't see Paxton dropping out if Trump was to endorse Cornyn, which I don't. He and Cornyn have had a bit of a tiff because Cornyn hasn't been 100%. He's only been like 98% loyal to Trump.
The amount of money that was poured into the state to try to boost Cornyn.
He's a 5-time incumbent.
$70 million on behalf of Cornyn efforts, really adding to why this became one of the most expensive Senate primaries in U.S. history. Cornyn, meanwhile, has really warned about Paxton's past controversies, his legal and personal scandals that Cornyn believes will be a drag on Republicans if he becomes the nominee in November. One big question going forward, though, is whether President Donald Trump decides to get into this runoff, decides to endorse a candidate.
He says he will. I just read you the article, the update as of just a couple of hours ago in his post on Truth Social. But let's go over the controversy with Jasmine Crockett here. Crockett says the primary voters were disenfranchised amid confusion. Representative Jasmine Crockett, the Texas Democrat, who was running for her party's nomination in the Senate election, said Tuesday night that voters have been disenfranchised. She told supporters at a primary watch party in Dallas that she received emails and phone calls from people who claimed to have been denied entry into polls, which the Congresswoman said were later allowed to stay open. The Supreme Court came in and ruled it. The Texas Supreme Court came in and ruled on it. here's my thing. At 7%, 8%, 8 points, whatever she lost by, there's no way. Like, she wasn't gonna make up that ground. We were able to keep the polls open, but I can tell you now that people have been disenfranchised. Local officials reported that a large number of people in the home counties of Crockett and her opponent, State Representative James Tallarico, initially went to the wrong polls. Many voters were unaware they had specific precincts after a few years of being able to vote anywhere in their county. The local Republican parties exited agreements several weeks ago that allowed countywide voting, and so they specifically targeted Dallas County, and I think we all know why. Crockett said about the GOP without explaining. The National News Desk requested comment from the state Republican Party but hasn't received a response. Dallas County's party chairman reportedly said in January, though, that voters would receive registration cards showing their assigned precinct. So apparently they were allowed to vote anywhere in the county, which last place I was registered, you were allowed to do that. That kind of tripped me out because I've always had an assigned precinct. So when I voted for president, I could just go fucking anywhere. It was like, I thought that was a trip. Because usually you have an assigned precinct, but apparently Texas used to be a vote any of the precinct kind of place. And now it's not. And that caused some confusion. It was also a primary in North Carolina, but this one didn't have the drama. As recount looms, well, at least on the Democratic side, it didn't have the drama. As recount looms in key North Carolina Senate race, candidate questions Republican state auditor's impartiality. Senate leader Phil Berger is locked in a close primary with Rockingham Sheriff Sam Page. A possible recount would be overseen by officials appointed by State Auditor Dave Boliek, who campaigned for Berger. Page wants Boliek out of the process. So this is Berger on the left. This is Sam Page, the sheriff, if you can't tell, on the right here. North Carolina legislative candidate is questioning the state's ability to fairly count ballots in his race because the state's the top election watchdog endorsed his opponent. Sam Page leads Senate leader Phil Berger by 2 votes in the Republican primary for the state's 26th Senate district, which covers Rocky. Oh, so this is a local Senate race. I'm sorry. I was trying to pull the primary results. I'll tell you about that here in a second. But this is also interesting. By two fucking votes, leads Phil Berger by 2 votes in the Republican primary for the state's 26th Senate district, which covers Rockingham and Guilford counties. Page had 13,077 votes and Berger had 13,075. Election officials still need to count provisional ballots and ballots from military and overseas voters. That's expected to happen by the end of the week. Candidates can request a recount by March 17th if they're still within 1 percentage point of each other after the ballots are counted. Berger is the state's most influential Republican legislators, and a Page win would upend the power structure in the chamber. DJ Dub asked me, what is your opinion of Marjorie Taylor Greene or Nancy Mace? Well, you know my opinion. They can be my GOP. Really? I thought I fixed that shit. Hold on. Does it work over here? I thought I fixed all these. What the hell? Oh, it's specifically GOP mommy. You know, maybe that should tell me something. We'll just go ahead and delete that. Unfollowing until fixed. Everything else works.
A titty slap! What the? Give me those titties,
Come on now.
I think. Maybe I was wrong. Oh well. So Roy Cooper is going to the general election for the Democrats in the North Carolina primary. Former Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley winning the Republican primary. There's going to be Whatley versus Cooper, who was an incredibly popular governor in the state. So this is probably going to be a flip for Democrats in a state that Trump won. So that's a hell of a task. They need to win 3 in order to take control of the Senate back. Nancy Mace was the youngest kid on Little House on the Prairie. I don't think that's true, but I don't know enough about it to question you. As long as we're talking about elections, let's talk about a man in Arkansas who is facing charges of second-degree murder. Candidate Aaron Spencer's victory in the Republican primary for sheriff of Lonoke County raises an interesting question. This is Lonoke County, Arkansas. Spencer is currently facing charges of second-degree murder in the county after the shooting death of a man who allegedly intended to sexually abuse Spencer's then 13-year-old daughter. The case was filed in November of 2024 and has since seen a long string of filings and counter-filings by him and the state's attorney regarding evidence and conditions of the forthcoming trial. Filings include one that caused additional delays in the case, and the Arkansas Supreme Court recused the judge hearing the case and overturned some of the orders she had made in response to these filings. Spencer is due for a pretrial hearing on March 18th, just 2 weeks and a day after winning the Republican primary. Pretrial hearings are typically held in the week before what would be a jury trial in this case, meaning Spencer will more than likely have a trial before the November general election. Can Spencer serve as sheriff if convicted of a felony? According to Arkansas law, if Spencer is found guilty of a felony, he will not be able to serve as sheriff or carry a gun. But he won the GOP primary in Lonoke County, Arkansas. Go back to live on the House floor.
Every single one of my colleagues votes yes on this War Powers resolution for our service members. I yield back.
Lady yields. Jump from New York.
This is the legislation to limit Trump's...
From Florida is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman
Use of
from
military
Washington,
force.
Mr. Baumgartner.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
A surprising number of Republicans are supporting
The
it.
terrorist regime has been at war with the American people.
Probably
for
not
nearly
this dude,
50
though.
Years. Countless terrorist attacks, countless American men in service women injured, and a persistent danger to the United States of America. President Trump's actions are a long time coming, well-meaning and well-deserved. I had the opportunity and the privilege to serve with the United States State Department during the Iraq surge, where I participated in putting together a joint U.S.-Iraqi interagency team to suppress Iranian-backed militia groups in Baghdad. These were very, very bad guys. One of the things that they did was use what's called an explosive-formed penetrator. Al-Qaeda and the Sunni groups would
An
make a lot of
explosive
explosives on the
form
roof and make
penetrator.
big bombs. What the Iranians would do was make a special kind of bomb with a copper plate.
Everything about war
It
sounds
could
so
punch right
sexual.
through our armor. One day, on a trip to Sadr City, I watched a massive what's called an MRAP, armored personnel carrier, explode.
No penetration without
from an Iranian
representation.
bomb, and watched as that hulking metal burned to a crisp as American servicemen and women sought to deal with the aftermath. This terrorist regime has killed thousands of their countrymen, killed Americans across the Middle East, and it's time for them to come to an end. This is a partisan
I'll give you a
political
shaped
maneuver
charge.
by the Democrats, and they should be ashamed for what they're doing to put our servicemen and women in danger.
You live in
With
sexual
that, I yield
anarchy.
back.
Gentleman yields.
Reserve.
Gentleman from Florida reserves. Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. I just would remind the gentleman this is a Massey bill. Yes, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New York, Representative Jerry Nadler.
The Thomas
Mr.
Massey
Speaker, I
bill.
rise in strong support of this resolution and of reasserting Congress' constitutional responsibility. As the gentleman from Florida stated, the president has the power to react to an attack.
Of course
on the
it's
United
penis
States.
shaped.
He does not have the power to start a war. President Trump's illegal strikes against Iran are dragging the United States into another costly war in the Middle East.
Representative Omar
Clear.
looking very
I shed
bored.
no tears over the Ayatollah's death. His brutality was responsible for the deaths of scores of his own people, and he directed terrorist proxies around the world. But his removal is unlikely to bring about the revolution and regime change the president seeks. We had a diplomatic agreement with Iran that did contain their nuclear threat with constant verification. But President Trump tore up that agreement. This unnecessary
Okay,
attack
well,
is
what do you
a clear
stick in the
violation of
hole then?
Constitution. Kings often plunge their nations into wars for plunder or avarice. The Constitution gave the power to decide on war or peace to Congress so that no president could act as a king. That is precisely what the president is doing. We must pass this resolution to chastise President Trump and to reassert what the Constitution provides, that only Congress can decide to commit this nation to war. I urge members to vote yes, and I yield
Gentleman's
back.
time has expired. Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities against the president. Gentleman from New
Did
York.
he engage in personalities against the
How
president?
much time each side has left?
Gentleman from Florida has 15 minutes remaining. And the gentleman from New York has 21 minutes remaining.
Very good. Please.
That's about how long is remaining in their debate on the War Powers Act. The Senate, I think, just voted on their version of the bill. They were counting votes about 15 minutes ago when we checked in with them. To Jones, you're probably getting ready to see gas prices skyrocket. Has anybody filled up today? Have they already started going up? Iran shut down the Strait of Hormuz on Saturday. something like 23% of the world's oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Hormuz. Thank you for the phonetical pronunciation. The dude has a really big head. You see Tom Tillis over there leaned against the... I'm sorry, not Tom Tillis. Why am I not thinking of his name? Not Tom Cotton. The Senate Majority Leader. Thune. John Thune. Fuck. Thank you, Sports Cards. Took me a second there. Maybe I'm too high? Or maybe I'm not high enough.
You're Willie Nelson high. You're smoking some of the best dope God ever put breath in.
I do have Tom Tillis clips to watch from yesterday. In his questioning of Christy Gnome, he was not kind to her at all. Of course, Tillis leaving the Senate. Yeah, Dan Crenshaw losing his seat yesterday. My drops aren't working. I don't know. I thought I fixed everything the other day. It's kind of annoying. But maybe we're gonna have to delete Dan Crenshaw into iPussy. Does everyone, like, you guys are probably, like, it's been so long, nobody even knows the lore of why I wanted to piss in his eye hole. After he got elected on being this, anti-cancel culture, anti-woke warrior, Pete Davidson made fun of him on Saturday Night Live. And, like, it was just a throwaway joke, too. And it was something about his eye patch, and he got all in a huff about it and threw a fit on Twitter. And then Lauren had Pete Davidson apologize to his dumbass, like live on, because it was the first Trump administration. They wanted to show that they could, bring everybody together and bridge the divide and shit. So they made Davidson apologize to Dan Crenshaw. And from that moment on, I wanted to piss in his eye pussy. It was infuriating to me. Are you gonna hold him down for me, Hood? I mean, Crenshaw doesn't seem so tough. If you want to look into his insider trading, man, it's all the more reason you should want to hold him down and let me piss in his eye pussy. Do you like people enriching themselves? Because did you notice Dan Crenshaw got really quiet over the last few years? You don't hear about him anymore. He's not making the news. You know why? Because he's been insider trading like a motherfucker. Keeping a low profile. Making money off of us, the taxpayer. So you should want to hold him down and let me piss in his eye pussy. He'll end up using his eye pussy for trick shots on Dude Perfect. I wouldn't doubt that he goes and becomes an influencer, or maybe he's just gonna, maybe he got rich and he's gonna fuck off and we're never gonna hear from him again. So what do you think about that, Hood? Did I make a good argument for you wanting to hold him down so I can piss in his eye pussy? Or are you a little bitch? You a bootlicker? Cicero, my friend, good evening. He might get a slot on Fox, that's true. He's conventional enough for Fox to want him. I mean, if I didn't have an eye, I'd do all kinds of crazy shit for Halloween, wouldn't you guys? I'd make use of it. What's even the point of being in Congress if you can't use the information to receive to benefit yourself financially? I mean, you say that, people, but Gutfeld's kicking Jimmy Fallon and Colbert's asses, so I don't know. The world we live in. But the audiences that Fallon and Colbert are trying to go for just don't watch TV anymore. We live in a different era. That's how Gutfeld is able to dominate late night. Because, I mean, that's unheard of. Do you guys, really, a cable news channel having a bigger late night show than CBS and NBC? That 20 years ago was impossible. I fire resist. I don't even once again, I'm the target audience for Colbert. I'm Colbert helped form my political opinions in my formative years in my 20s and shit. And I don't even watch him anymore. And I can't, but now I was a Late Show. I was a David Letterman fan. Watched Dave religiously. And if I'm not watching Colbert, then who in the fuck is? And of course you guys don't watch TV. You're on Twitch. You watch TV, you're watching with me watching TV. I'm fine with I think Fallon was ultimately, I think things worked out for NBC for the better. I think Fallon was the better host than Conan. But I mean, it took him another 10 years to get to that point. So technically Conan could have been wrapping up his run with the Tonight Show and Jimmy could have still took over. I thought Dave was just older. Once he goes to CBS and he's on the Late Show, he's just older and it's a different kind of comedy. He's not going out and doing the man on the street bits that he did when he did Late Night. Because that was one of my favorite Letterman bits. Was he picked some guy up from a gas station or something, and they end up breaking down on the side of the road, and Dave pulls out the dipstick to check the oil, and I guess they've replaced it with chocolate or some shit. And Dave looks at the dipstick, and the person like freaks out next to him. I love that shitter when he would go and work the drive-thru at a McDonald's or something. The Jones watches Little House on the Prairie. That's what Curiouser leaves on for the cats in the living room. Sex pest. I've never heard any sex pest allegations against Jimmy Fallon. I can totally believe it. Are you surprised she leaves Little House on the Prairie? Because it's wholesome. Cats like Little House. Well, I mean, if you're a cat, I get, because there's a lot of fields and scenery on Little House. A lot of scenic shots. Trying to trad wife the cats. I'm not gonna let you badmouth Little House now. Michael Landon was that's his name, right? Michael Landon? Michael Landis. Michael Landon. He was a dreamboat. Oh yeah, I can pull up a picture of him right now. Like, he looked like he would fit in today's fashion and shit. Timeless. No, the Teletubbies would be too, it would be too stimulating. They'd want to, like, smack at the TV and shit. Touched by an Angel. I never watched that, but that had Della Reese in it, right? I know her as like the head whore from Harlem Nights. But she's like some wholesome angel or something. It's like her biggest role. I'm an honest whore and all my whores are honest. Oh, what are we even watching? They're not even doing anything. I think they had their vote on their version of the War Powers Act. This is the Senate. They're still debating over here in the House.
The mask is off. You're all just a bunch of
Your time's expired.
Yeah.
Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities toward the president.
We are high and watching C-SPAN. Are you really that shocked?
Pleased to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from California, Vice Chair of the Foreign Affairs.
Kind of what we do here.
Mr. Issa.
Fucking Daryl Issa.
Before I begin,
this piece of shit.
In addition to the disparaging of the president, Mr. Speaker, the previous speaker implied that this was about money from defense contractors. Shame on anyone who would say that. 47 years ago, I was a young captain, a first lieutenant about to be captain, when the war was declared against us. Iran has been at war with us for 47 years and at war with the world. In 1982, I was a young captain when they killed.
You keep saying he was young.
Marines, their bombs, their proxies in Lebanon. To say that, in fact, this is not defense of America against the country that every day for 47 years has said,
the skin's falling off his face right now.
We must be destroyed. So first of all, the right to defend Going
Hey
back
now,
to
Clinton was asked about
has
his
not
statement
been
that
a
he likes
question
them
of the
young.
Constitution. It has been an
I got that
obligation
on
of the
tap for you
president.
here in a little bit.
So to invoke the War Powers Act as though this is not defense, and then to imply that there's any purpose other than to recognize that this pervasive threat that has killed Americans and others around the world decade after decade was getting stronger and stronger. And even though I hear that there was no UN, there was no this or that, I have visited Ukraine, where their assembled parts are killing Americans, Russians, Ukrainians, anyone they want because they're an exporter of terror. The fact is, around the world, we are...
Yes, Warlord was wanting me to do the whole deposition. I'm like, Media Winch did that. I've got the choice clips.
Ancestral country of Lebanon, today their proxies are firing on Israel.
We're not going to spend too much time on it.
Hatred of the little Satan, we being the big Satan. So, am I defending the actions of the president? You betcha. And I have defended it for my entire quarter of a century here, regardless of the party. The only thing I can't defend is the idea that we have placated and empowered Iran time and time again, so that today the job is harder and longer than it otherwise would be. Lastly, there is no question if we withdraw or cease at this time, we are saying to the next Ayatollah, the next supreme leader, that in fact the United States will not see this through.
Apparently, we had a strike that took out
their terror, to have more
the committee that was picking the next Ayatollah.
I urge no on this resolution because it is not only unconstitutional, but it is so ill-advised at a time in which we are defending America. I thank the gentleman. Yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Issa. And I would point out that the next speaker as well, it would appear.
But I think this is going to pass. There's enough Republicans joining Democrats.
A nuclear weapon. He clearly thought there was a pretty damn imminent threat going on.
But then again, I didn't think about it. There may be enough Democrats that cross over to vote with Republicans. This is going to be a weird vote.
From New York.
Also thought the president would follow the Constitution. I yield 1 minute, 30 seconds to the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Representative Chris DeLuzio.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentleman from New York. I support the bipartisan war powers resolution, and we find ourselves once again in a foolish regime change war, much like the one that
so supporting the resolution is limiting
that cost thousands
Trump's
of
ability
lives,
to be able to exercise military
I've heard
power.
Lots of justifications on the other side for why
and
this
supposedly put the power back in the hands of Congress.
Call it a war. It's what it is. The defense secretary has called it a war. That's what this is. I've seen pointing to different authorities.
So it's going to need like 3 or 4 votes
might justify this. The Congress has
in order to pass. That's going to be the margin.
Provided a statutory authorization for the use of military force. And the third condition
there's at least a dozen Republicans that are going to vote for it.
Is that the United States is under attack.
Are there that many Democrats that will
when the president started
cross over and vote against it?
Fight today. That's the War Powers Resolution. Those are the 3 bases that a president can use force under the War Powers Resolution. And let's not forget, the American people want life less of a ripoff here at home. They want health care they can afford, housing, I go on and on. What they don't want is Americans coming back in flag-draped caskets and billions of dollars spent overseas. Today, I asked Trump administration officials for the...
Okay, so the Senate vote we watched was a procedural vote. I think we're getting ready to move to the
Americans to fight. We
the
should
main
support
vote.
This resolution and put a stop to this now. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
I'm going to have to find a reporter on Twitter
Thank you,
to
Mr.
follow
Chairman,
here.
for your leadership, your service, and your sacrifice. Mr. Speaker, I rise in opposition to H-Con Res 38, which would limit the president's ability to protect the American people from Iran's terrorist regime. I believe that this resolution
I don't
may be
think
misunderstood.
Iran is a
Troubling
threat to
message
me.
to our troops.
I think Trump is a threat to me.
Interpreted welcome message to our enemy. The Wars Power Act is very clear. Enacted in 1973, requires the president to.
Okay, so they did have the vote. It just fell.
The president has 60 days
52 to 48.
approval. President Trump has clearly acted within the provisions of the War Powers Act. President Obama, on the other hand, used these authorities to launch operations in Libya for over 7 months, Iraq, Syria, Yemen. President Biden invoked the same authorities for strikes against threats in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, yet no resolution to limit those presidents was brought up in this House by our colleagues. So, as Secretary Rubio said, and he described in great detail, there was an imminent threat upon the United States from Iran and our allies. Speaker Johnson also warned the idea
there was
that
no
Congress would now
imminent
take
threat.
away the ability of the commander-in-chief is dangerous. to the
Israel
threat and
apparently
the safety of the
launching a
United
new
States
wave
of
of
America.
strikes currently in
Remember what
Tehran.
They're dealing with Iran. It's been a terrorist state for 47 years. Its proxies range from Hezbollah to Hamas to the Houthis, and the list goes on.
The
And directly
Houthis.
through these proxies, Iran has maimed and killed thousands of Americans.
The Houthis
They orchestrated the massacre
and the
of
blowfish.
Israel on October 7th. We know this. They are, in fact, doing their very most to continue enriching uranium to make weapons grade. According to Special Envoy Witkoff, just the other day, the Iranian negotiators opened negotiations by bragging about presently controlling 460 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, enough for weapons-grade material for 11 bombs within 4 to 6 weeks. Because of this regime's reign of terror, their own civilians rose up and protested, Mr. Speaker, and over the last 2 months, there are reports that as many as 90,000 Iranian civilians were murdered. President Trump has strategically developed regional trust throughout the Middle East. This is why we have a strong coalition in the region to confront this threat. Today, Iran is an island, thanks to the strategy of the Trump administration. The Iran of the past, one that oppresses and commits terrorism and all kinds of
Totally wasn't paying attention to Miss 420 in the Central Time Zone.
is history. I yield back.
Sorry about that, Central Time Zone peeps.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from New York is recognized.
I yield
You're
2 minutes
Willie
to the
Nelson
gentleman
High.
from Texas,
You're
Representative
smoking some
Lloyd
of the best
Doggett.
dope God ever put
Gentleman's
breath in.
recognized.
From his first day in public office, President Trump has made it clear that he wants to rule America by imperial decree. He didn't want to be king just for a day in America. He wants to be king of the universe. Congress is just a nuisance that can be avoided. The courts, an occasional speed bump. And international law, that's just a suggestion to this president. In his decree declaring war on Iran, he glibly responded to the loss of American life by saying, that's the way it is. With no clear objectives, no approval from the Congress,
And we're
no
up to
commitment keep
4
the ground troops out,
servicemen have died.
more American deaths
Service people.
and billions of taxpayer dollars wasted will be the way it is. And we know that in this regard, Trump is not America first. At best, he is American second, as Secretary Rubio confessed this week. Trump was too weak to follow President Bush's wise example of saying no to Netanyahu. He has dragged us into a war that has no imminent threat. He has committed us to a war that will further destabilize an already unstable region of the world. And in Trump's own words, this war will go on as long as it takes. Well, the last war like that cost 4,400 American lives and $2 trillion of taxpayer money. While certainly I do not mourn the death of any of these despots in Iran who have done so much harm, under Trump's clueless approach, we may just be replacing one tyrant with another.
I had seen that we were
already see what's
arming
happening to our
Kurdish
embassies, our
forces
military
because
facilities,
that's
our
worked out
airports,
so well
many
for us in the
Americans
past.
stranded aboard.
Apparently we do. We have
abroad.
a
I
Kurdish
urge approval
advance
of this resolution to stop Trump's forever war. Unless it is
into
approved,
northwest
Trump will be
Iran.
here only encouraged
These are Iraqi
to grab more
Kurdish
and more
fighters.
power on his drive for total authoritarian one-man rule in this country and the world. I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Members are reminded to refrain from engaging in personalities towards the president.
I reserve.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think I figured something out. If my colleagues keep saying that 4 days is forever, maybe that's why they can't talk about what imminent threat means. They can't figure out the definition of these things. Imminent threat. I've done pretty well to define what makes Iran an imminent threat. They don't want to speak about that and don't even want to acknowledge it a little bit, that, hey, maybe there's even a little chance that Iran could attack us this day or this. Don't even want to acknowledge it the slightest bit.
I mean, I guess there's a chance.
Black and white, no shot whatsoever, no threat at all.
But how many times have we attacked Iran?
Things to say, use all means necessary.
Yeah, tell him anonymously.
Nuclear weapon. It's amazing.
Call him
to me.
Stumpy.
We know they have.
He looks like a dick.
Defining other words as well. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from New York's recognized.
I never heard Donald Trump say it was an imminent threat. I yield now 1 minute to the California.
We were the imminent threat to Iran.
Jimmy Gomez.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong support of this war powers resolution. This is a war of choice disguised as a war of necessity. During the last several days, President Trump offered a shifting list of justifications: regime change, retribution, helping protesters, stopping Iran's missile and nuclear weapons program, a program that Trump claimed just last year that he obliterated, and a ballistic missile program that the Department of Defense is not going to be capable of reaching the U.S. until 2035. Then Secretary of State Marco Rubio offered another, that he had to strike first in case Iran might retaliate after a possible Israeli attack. Think about that. Not because Iran posed an imminent
in case they would retaliate.
Congress authorized war
after Israel attacks them.
Might attack. This is not a strategy. This is cherry-picking facts and lying to the American public to justify a
I love you anonymously. Welcome in, my friend. Hope you're having a good evening.
Asking two questions. Why are we doing this?
Now that you're here, we should get high.
The Constitution is clear. The president cannot start a war alone. So we need to make sure that the people's representatives are involved, because once troops are in harm's way, missions
Let's
expand.
Congress speak for let the man cook.
Door that changes their lives forever. The cost of this war will not just be measured by dollars spent, but in lives lost, bodies broken, and conflicts that rarely stay confined to where they began. With that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields.
I reserve.
Gentleman reserves.
I missed it too, and I was trying to pay attention for it.
I am prepared to close it. The gentleman is prepared to close.
Gentleman
Okay,
reserves.
they're prepared to close, so we're going to go to the vote here. Do you guys want to stick with it, or you want to get back to the
gentleman's recognized?
The onslaught of news.
Mr. Speaker, first let me be clear.
The vote failed in the Senate.
It's not a vote for or against war with Iran. It's not an authorization for use of military force. It does not prevent the United States from defending it.
Well, those are their closing arguments. Those are their closing arguments here.
Restrict our U.S. military from protecting our troops or our assets or our interests. You may have heard some of those claims from the other side today. They are wrong. So what is this war powers resolution? What is it? It's simple. It simply requires hostilities to stop unless and until Congress does what the Constitution says it should do: authorize them. That's what the Constitution says. It affirms a basic principle. No president can take this action or take this nation to a war against whomever, whenever that president wishes to do it without congressional authorization. This is a war. The administration has said so themselves.
Every day is Shine Your Dome Day.
Members on the other side of the aisle say this is a war.
You're going to be bald.
This
You want to
is a
shine
war.
it up. Real nice and pretty.
But it is a war of choice, not a war authorized by the United States Congress. The administration's own war powers notification, and if you haven't read it, we'll give it to you. They do not use or mention the word imminent at all, not once. The administration has presented no imminent threat. Why? Because it cannot. My colleagues keeps using, I want to give him the definition of the word imminent. And if it was so imminent, Donald Trump didn't do anything when he was the president before.
Lay it on us, brother. Well, he did. He took out that Soleimani.
How long will this war last?
But then COVID happened and everybody forgot about that.
We don't know.
Or it happened during COVID
The
or some
administration
shit.
doesn't seem to know.
Warlord, when did Soleimani happen?
Are expansive and shifting every day. They seem to shift. One day I heard them say it was regime change.
I was telling you to look it
I
up.
heard them say it's
Yeah, it was during COVID.
weapons. Then after that it was ballistic missiles. And then we heard the Secretary of State say it's Israel was going to strike.
Oh, right
first
before
because
COVID.
We felt we had to, otherwise that Iran would have struck first.
Yeah, that's how we forgot about that shit.
You know, Mr. Speaker, this administration's case for war makes the Bush administration's weapons of mass destruction story
He said
look
Bush
like a
funny.
well-documented PhD dissertation. Now, to the members of Congress who disagree with my opposition to this war, I disagree.
It feels like
because
yesterday
I've
and it feels
listened
like a
and I've
decade
heard
ago
and
all
I've
at the
been
same
wrong. I
time.
disagree with this war. But I say to them, if you disagree with this war, it is your prerogative. But you should vote. We should have a vote. This vote is not about whether or not you support military action. It's about whether you believe Congress should have a say. In essence, it kind of matters, should we exist? The Constitution said we should exist. We were created as a country because they was running from a king who did not want a Congress, who didn't have a Congress, who could just do whatever they wanted. And that's why
They had a parliament.
the first thing that the founders said is Congress was the only one that had the power. Speaker Jeffries said,
Yeah, that's part of that American myth that isn't really all that true.
by Republican member of the House of Representatives, Abraham Lincoln. He said the provisions of the Constitution giving the war-making power to Congress was dictated, as I understand it, by the following reasons. Kings have always been involving and impoverishing their people in wars, pretending generally, if not always, the good of the people was the object. This, our convention, understood to be the most oppressive of all kingly oppressions. And they resolved to frame the Constitution that no one man should hold the power of bringing this oppression upon us.
You sound
No
like a
one
preacher.
man. We took an oath. We swore to uphold Article 1 of the Constitution. Our constituents expect us to deliberate on matters of war and peace. Did we deliberate on it? No. Have we had?
You should have to write a book report on
In
it.
the House Foreign Affairs Committee? No. Have we had Mr. Jared Kushner here? He was supposed to have been negotiating to talk about what they were doing? No. Have we had Steve Witkoff here? No. Have we had anyone other than and he came for other reasons, and we were able to ask a few questions, then Secretary Rubio come? No. Have there been dialogue and conversation? You know, we got the so-called Gang of Eight that they want to say that's notification. Well,
The Gang Bang of Eight.
Never debated anything on the floor of the House. Now, how many times have the Gang of Eight met? Well, once. Speaker tries to say that's sufficient.
I would not be a part of that gang bang.
And even
by
in
the way.
that,
That was like,
this imminent strike was never mentioned. We heard Mr. Himes, who was part of the Gang of Eight. The next time the Gang of Eight was heard was only a
this is
few
like the
hours
leaders. This is like Chuck
before the one
Schumer,
who want to be
Hakeem
king
Jeffries,
said he was going to attack.
Thune, which Thune's not a bad looking
That's the
guy.
only dialogue and conversation that took place before the strike.
And
No
then the head of the intelligence committee and shit.
No trying to talk to the members of Congress and, most importantly, the American people, because just before the State of the Union, when the president had the whole world, we heard a whole 2-hour speech, the longest in the
He
history
knocked his book
of
off.
these United States of America, and Iran was hardly a mention. If it was an imminent threat, I think he would want to tell the nation at that time that we had to do something imminently.
He makes a good point.
We have soldiers who have died. And a president start talking about curtains. And
He did. I got that clip.
and putting gold things up because he like it. Families, gold families now, unfortunately. But it wasn't serious enough. This is a serious situation. Congress is a co-equal branch of government. The framers vested their war power in this body because they believed no single person should make this nation to war alone. And today, we either defend our principle or surrender it. I urge my colleagues to
Gentleman's
join
time
me
has expired.
in defending it, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields. Gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague ended with "This is serious." This is serious. It's more serious than when my colleagues can't even acknowledge a hint of an emergency, a hint of imminence related to the threat of Iran. Nothing to see there. Even though last Congress, so many of them voted, including Ranking Member Mr. Meeks, to say use all means necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Why would they say all means necessary? Because I guess a year ago, they believed it to be that imminent, that important. It was said by the ranking member, their bill doesn't prevent the U.S. from defending ourselves. It literally does. Let me read the text from you. Directs the president to terminate the use of United States armed forces from hostilities against the Islamic Republic of Iran or any part of its government or military unless explicitly authorized by a declaration of war. That means the president cannot go out there and defend the United States of America. It's saying the president has no Article 2 authority to go out there and defend the United States of America. That's literally what they're saying. He said.
So the Democrat mentioned the insane clip where Trump was asked about the soldiers that died in the assault on Iran and then started talking about the curtains.
That comes down right now. You see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains. But, and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it's because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly. She said, will the pile drivers ever stop? You know, they go from 6 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening. Can you imagine? Here? You know what? To me, that's a beautiful sound. She doesn't like it. I love it. You know what? To me, other than here, because we're donating it, not a penny to the taxpayer. It'll be under budget, ahead of schedule. It'll be...
They're donating the ballroom to us.
Most people say 400 million or more. No, it'll be less. But
thank you, Mr. Trump,
when
for
I hear that sound, that beautiful sound,
the ballroom.
It means money, so I like it. But my wife isn't thrilled. She said, this is getting crazy. I said, don't worry about it. We'll be all finished up in a few months. But now for the reason that we're gathered this morning to recognize the...
So that was after being asked about the soldiers that had died. Back to live on the House floor. Oh God, they're bringing out visual aids.
Mr. Speaker, I seek unanimous consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise and extend my remarks.
Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to thank the Thornton Fire Department, the Thornton Police Department, and every assisting first responder who rushed to the scene last week to extinguish a suburban wildfire in my district. As
Wait,
a former
are we
cop,
still...
an Army National Guard Black
debate
Hawk
on Iran
who fought wildfires, I am proud of these first responders and their continued dedication to protecting our communities. What could have been a devastating disaster resulted in no loss of life or homes thanks to these brave heroes. However, as the Marshall Fire, the worst wildfire in Colorado history, reminds us, suburban wildfires can become catastrophic, and emergency management funding is critical in disaster-prone regions like Colorado. I strongly urge my Democrat colleagues to vote in favor of the Department of Homeland's appropriation bill and restore FEMA funding, emergency management funding.
I'm pretty sure that FEMA funding was not affected. Netanyahu has asked the White House if they are in secret talks with Iran. Interesting development. This is Axios' reporting from earlier today. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asked the White House for clarification earlier this week after learning Trump administration officials might be communicating with the Iranian regime. Netanyahu's outreach suggests that the Israeli government is concerned about a scenario in which the U.S. pressures a ceasefire before all of Israel's war objectives have been achieved. The sources said Israeli intelligence obtained information earlier this week that raised suspicions that some kind of communication had taken place between Iran and the Trump administration to discuss a ceasefire. On Monday, Netanyahu called the White House officials and asked if such talks or exchange of messages happened. The White House told Bibi that the Trump administration wasn't talking to the Iranians behind his back. A U.S. official said Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner talk almost every day to Netanyahu, to the director of Mossad, David Barnera, and to other Israeli officials, and that regardless of ups and downs in the past, the coordination over the last month was very close. Once again confirming that Trump is Israel's bitch. I don't know how else to put it. This is a video released by the White House of one of their war crimes. Just sank a vessel in international waters.
And we'll play it on the screen there. An American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death.
And apparently that's the first time we've done that since World War II. first time we've used a submarine and a torpedo to sink a ship.
In the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship that thought it was safe in international waters. Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. Quiet death. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II. Like in that war, back when we were still the War Department,
you sank my battleship
to win. In the Indian Ocean, and we'll play it on the screen there, an American submarine sunk an Iranian warship.
Another clip of Hegseth from, I think, the press conference earlier today. The update on the war in Iran.
We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step. This is what the fake news...
That literally sounds like something that would come out of the mouth of a villain in like a Bond movie or something.
This is what the...
Yeah, that's what he was talking about, the people that died.
We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step. This is what the fake news misses. We've taken...
Oh, I think Trump doesn't need any help making himself look bad. This was the roundtable we watched a little bit of earlier. This is his comments on Iran that probably skipped over.
I want to take you to the White House where President Trump is making remarks about the ongoing operation against Iran.
And their leadership is just rapidly going. Everybody that seems to want to be a leader, they end up dead. And it's an amazing thing that's taking place before your eyes, because for 47 years we were pushed around, and we shouldn't have been. And I think I can say, and you see it as well as I do, you see the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer. A big factor was Soleimani, the killing of Soleimani in my first term. And maybe the biggest factor was the rebuilding of the military in my first term. And then the B-2s hit the, and I use the word obliterate because it really was a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential.
If it was a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential, then why the fuck did we have to attack them again? Didn't you get the job done last year?
And that set them back very, very seriously.
Apparently only a year.
Within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. So we're in very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength, and I'm very proud to have, with some of the people in the room, both senators and congressmen, we rebuilt, and women. I
really do like that tie, though. It's like a color change,
and
pink and purple, blue thing.
I thought we would have to. Venezuela worked out.
When crazy people have nukes, yeah.
Wonderful relationship with the
irony of that statement.
Representatives, and we're taking out hundreds of millions of barrels of oil, and that goes to our benefit and to Venezuela's benefit. They'll be doing
so low energy,
ever done before, and we will get a big piece of that, and we'll also make life wonderful for the people of Venezuela who have been very, very badly hit.
Wonderful.
So that's a lot said in a short period of time, but you can witness it for yourself. And now we'll get on to something that I'm very proud of, because it was sort of my idea, like
Very much so.
Build your own power plant. And everybody thought I was kidding.
Yeah, this was some AI roundtable bullshit. I mentioned the Strait of Hormuz earlier. The bottleneck grinding global markets to a halt.
Iran's threat to set ships ablaze in one of the world's busiest trade routes is raising some concerns about the implications for the global economy. The Strait of Hormuz is a critical oil shipping route that links the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman and eventually the Arabian Sea. Now, it's bordered by Iran to its north and the UAE and Oman to its south. Two of the world's largest shippers have already suspended travel through the strait. Large tankers typically sail through with around 20 million barrels of oil every single day. That's according to U.S. Energy Information Administration report. And more than a quarter of all oil traveling by ocean and a fifth of global liquefied natural gas flows through that strait alone. Joining us now is Matt Smith, head U.S. analyst at Kepler data and analytics firm. Matt, how important is the Strait of Hormuz to the global energy market?
It's massive, Liz, and you were just showing the numbers there. Right now, we see 100 ships passing through this every single day. You've got, as you mentioned there, sort of 15 million barrels a day going through this. And so at its widest point, it's about, its narrowest point is about 20 miles there. So this is hugely concerning. And it's all manner of different commodities that are passing through this. So as we have seen this grinding to a halt here, these flows, that's why you're seeing commodity prices increasing. And so it's not just an oil story here. We've seen diesel prices really ramping up, gasoline prices, but in particular natural gas prices in Europe. So it is being felt across commodities and across the world.
Now, it's important to note, Matt, that the U.S. doesn't rely on the Strait of Hormuz for its oil, but yet we almost immediately saw a change with the price at the pump. And now President Trump is offering
the prices have gone up already.
Passage. Why is the Strait of Hormuz a priority for the U.S.?
Yeah, sure. So we bring in a little bit of oil, so maybe 500,000 barrels a day. In the grand scheme of things, that isn't a massive amount of that 15 million we see passing through there. But your price at the pump at your local gas station there is mostly influenced by the oil price, and the oil price is influenced by global factors. So as we're seeing oil prices on a global basis here rallying like crazy, that is being reflected through quickly to prices at the pump. So we've seen them jump.
What did he do to you?
In the last day or so, and that will continue to increase. It plays catch up a little bit. And so even though the US is very much insulated from a supply perspective, because we refine our own oil, we produce our own gasoline, we have our own natural gas, etc., we are not insulated from the pricing.
Now, a blockade, though, of the strait was really hitting Asian countries much harder. The U.S. Energy Information Administration says more than 80%.
But isn't that what we want? We want a nerd to come on that knows about, like, the shit we don't, to tell us what we don't know about the Strait of Hormuz.
Of all oil and gas shipments through the strait,
gang solves the oil crisis.
To Asian nations. China, India, Japan, and South Korea are the largest buyers. China, as we know, is an ally of Iran.
Their plan didn't work, by the way.
Half of their crude oil imports through that Strait of Hormuz. Are they concerned about ships not being able to pass through? They have to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you mentioned they get half of their crude from the Middle East there. That's about 5 million barrels a day there. And so China is insulated in the perspective that they have a lot of inventory. So they have like 1.2 billion barrels of inventories. But by all means, the lack of this supply, even just for a few days is going to have an impact, let alone if it goes on for a number of weeks. Same thing with Iran, right? So we're hearing that Iran may be trying to close the strait there. It's going to fire missiles at tankers, but all of Iran's crude basically passes through the Strait of Hormuz. All of that goes to China as well. So those barrels not flowing means that Iran is not getting revenue either. And
I don't look like a
the other thing
penis.
to bear in mind too is that you could say,
I guess it's an inlet, isn't it?
It's a side swipe at China, right? Because if the strait is closed, then it's hurting them. But at the same
I guess
time,
all
just
inlets
think
look
about
like penises.
oil as one big bucket of supply. Cutting off those flows is just going to increase the price of oil, and that's the last thing that President Trump wants when he wants prices at the pump to be low. And so that's why he is pushing for these insurance waivers or coverage, and for this convoy for the Strait of Hormuz there.
Matt, is there potential for the Middle East shutting off oil production altogether if these tankers are not able to get through the Strait of Hormuz?
Maybe not altogether. Liz, we're already starting to see some countries shutting in, so the likes of Iraq. And the situation is they are massive producers of these commodities, massive exporters of oil, and yet they don't have a lot of storage because they just simply send this all out. And you've got a situation now where that crude is just building up on tankers within the Mideast Gulf there. And you're not able to get empty tankers in to load up either. So the situation we're getting to in the coming days here is these producers likely having to dial back their production, shut in their oil fields because there's nowhere else for this oil to go.
Thank you so much. Always good to talk to you.
I'm sure that's going to work out well. So, Christy Gnome testified yesterday in front of the Senate, today in front of the House. This is the clip I want to show you from yesterday. This is Senator Tom Tillis from North Carolina. He's leaving. That's why he has a little more balls about him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Noem, thank you for being here. I'm really glad that a lot of my Republican colleagues talked about the disaster that Biden and Mayorkas, your predecessor, created. It was absurd. You heard the things from Senator Brett, people that came over here who themselves were traumatized by the very people who then come to this country and traumatize American citizens. You heard Senator Schmidt saying the same thing. A lot of us are very frustrated with the disaster that President Biden left behind and a failed DHS. It's why I'm angry, and it's why I've been critical of you, Secretary Gnome, because we're missing an opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons President Trump won a year and a half ago is because people were sick and tired of a Democratic administration's open border policy and allowing millions of people to come to this country. 1.7 million called gotaways. We don't even know where they are, but we know when you pay a premium to a cartel to get them into this country, they're bad people.
Well, he's getting riled up.
Why have I been critical of Secretary Gnome? Because I don't think we're focusing on, we have limited resources. ICE can't be everywhere at once. There's very few people in Capitol Hill that support law enforcement more than me, including the sworn ICE officers. In fact, I've just been told, fortunately, in about a week and a half, we're going to get a plaque on the wall over the Capitol, thanking the Capitol police officers and all the agencies that responded on January 6th. All those thugs have actually been pardoned, and yet we haven't thanked the Capitol police officers for their work here. So when I say I'm unapologetically pro-law enforcement, you can count in every single sworn officer in Homeland Security. So why am I disappointed with Secretary Gnome? Because we're not going after enough people who did this damage at the expense of running numbers that Stephen Miller wants out of the White House. We just want numbers. We want 1,000 a day, 6,000 a day, 9,000 a day, because numbers matter, right? No, they don't matter. Quality matters, not quantity, quality. And what we've seen is a disaster. Under your leadership, Ms. Noem, a disaster. What we've seen is innocent people getting detained that turn out are American citizens. I could talk about the culture that's been created here. with Stephen Miller aiding and abetting. I heard first reports that he was the one that said it was a domestic terrorist situation where 2 people lost their lives in Minneapolis.
This is a Republican, but he is retiring.
Maybe you can refute it. I don't know that we'll have time for you to respond because I'm giving you a performance evaluation here. I'm not looking for a response. And I'm saying, Ms. Noem, that time after time after time I've been disappointed. But before I get back to looking at the vicious people that did this damage to these families, I want to talk a minute about FEMA. You have a policy right now that anything over $100,000 has to go through your desk for approval. I asked my staff, because I'm a management consultant, I don't try to do cheap shots in here, but the facts do not lie. This is your administration for FEMA response. This is President Trump's first administration. Which one would you like to have? If you're a state that has a $60 billion disaster, your biggest disaster in South Dakota that I can tell that when you were an elected official was about $500 million. So 1/100th of this single storm where thousands of people are hurting in North Carolina and you're just barely catching up. This is what competent FEMA leadership looks like. This is what incompetent FEMA leadership looks like. And people are hurting in Western North Carolina from the most significant storm they've ever experienced. This is what we need more of. I'm convinced you can't do it. If you're requesting a review of $100,000 and up, then it begs the question, why? Why would you be involved in that? Why would that be a policy? And in a minute, I'll ask about some people that are involved, some special government employees. Why are they involved in it?
It is infuriating
Senator,
that they
that 100
they grow up here when they're retiring.
only had to do.
I will hold the clock until I finish.
Okay.
The bottom line is I've done the analysis. And you can say whatever you want to. I've worked with a Democrat governor. I've worked with a Republican governor. I've worked with fiscal research. We have people contacting my office now to get the information to better understand the failure of this department. You failed at FEMA. And in fact, if I get to it, actually, why don't I cover this right now? The Homeland Security Act of 2002 expressly prohibits the Secretary of Homeland Security from restricting or diverting FEMA resources from the agency's mission. Based on your disaster response, the chart that I just showed you, I have reason to believe that you're violating the law, either knowingly or unknowingly. So I'll be asking and getting a submission to the record, submitting a question for the record.
It's also kind of infuriating that he's taking her to task more than the Democrats have. Like, is Chuck Schumer talking to her this way?
Total amount of FEMA reimbursements are currently being held by DHS, awaiting for final approval. Held by DHS, awaiting for final approval for an agency that you should not be obstructing the disbursement on. I'm going to give you time to answer to it under penalty of perjury so that we can get it right. Now, going back to Minneapolis, why can't we just say we made a mistake? I will ask you one question, if you can just give me a quick response. Who does Tom Homan work for? You or the president?
The president.
Okay. Why is that? Because I believe the president recognized that you weren't getting it done in Minneapolis, and you're putting us further away from pointing to this. We're beginning to get the American people to think that deporting people is wrong. It's the exact opposite. The way you're going about deporting them is wrong.
I mean, I disagree with him wholeheartedly about that. Like, you're giving our deportation program a bad name is what he's saying. Oh, God.
The fact that you can't admit to a mistake, which looks like under investigation, is going to prove that Miss Good and Mr. Petty probably should not have been shot in the face and in the back. Law enforcement needs to learn from that. You don't protect them by not looking after the facts. Not only should the FBI be investigating it, but every single law enforcement agency in that jurisdiction should be invited to it. So our law enforcement officers do not have this pall cast upon them. One of the reasons why ICE officers are having threats, and damn the people that threaten ICE officers, because so many of them are doing a good job, is because you've cast a pall on them by acting like we should investigate things.
What's he saying? Cast a pall? I'm from the South. I'm not far from. I'm from not far from where he's from. I've never cast a paw. Is that what he's saying?
It's wrong. The fact that you can't admit to a mistake, which looks like under investigation, is going to prove that Miss Good and Mr. Pretty probably should not have been shot in the face and in the back. Law enforcement needs to learn from that. You don't protect them by not looking after the facts. Not only should the FBI be investigating it, but every single law enforcement agency in that jurisdiction should be invited to it, so our law enforcement officers do not have this pall cast upon them. One of the reasons why ICE officers are having threats, and damn the people that threaten ICE officers, because so many of them are doing a good job, is because you've cast a pall on them by acting like we should investigate things differently. Officer-involved shootings have a formula that we should go through every time. And we're not going through that formula. As a matter of fact, in Ms. Good's case, I think that they were even saying that maybe there wasn't even a need to do it in the DOJ. I hope that that's changed. But I'm telling you, it was a civil rights review. I saw your frown. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But originally, Blanche said there wouldn't be an investigation. Folks, law enforcement, we've got to have their back. We've got to make it clear when they make a mistake, then they get corrected for it. But you don't walk away from it, and you've done it too many times. Now, Secretary, I read your book last week.
Uh-oh.
And honestly, some of the parts of it impressed me, but some of it distresses me. And I'll give you a good example of one that does.
I'd love to know what impressed him about her book.
The passage...
And it's always a book plug. Why is it always a book plug?
Where you talk about killing a dog that was 14 months old. I train dogs, all right? And you are a farmer. You should know better. You should know that if you're going out to a hunting lodge and you're putting pheasants out and you're putting dogs out, you don't take a puppy out there. A 14-month-old dog is basically a teenager in dog years. You decided to kill that dog because you had not invested the appropriate time in training, and then you have the audacity to go into a book and say it's a leadership lesson about tough choices. It's in your book. We could play it if we had time. At that same lunch hour, you killed a goat, and you killed...
Oh, God, he said it's in your book. We could play it if we had time. He listened to it on audiobook, which I guess I shouldn't fault people for.
The goat because you said it was behaving badly. You are a farmer. You don't castrate a goat. They behave badly. You should have probably done that before. But my point is, those are bad decisions made in the heat of the moment, not unlike what happened up in Minneapolis. I expect we're an exceptional nation. And one of the reasons we're exceptional
we're not.
is we expect exceptional leadership. And you
we don't.
At anything but that in the time that I've seen you responding to the emergency in North Carolina and across the Southeast, and acknowledging when mistakes are made, and speaking too soon for the expedient of social media or whatever it is. I'll leave you with this, Ms. Gnome. I'm expecting answers to Charlotte's Web. I requested it a month ago. That was one of the investigations in Charlotte, 20 minutes from where I live. All I asked for, if it had to be anonymized, was information.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes way more. It was a ICE operation called Charlotte's Web. I thought he was asking for a book report or something.
So that I could determine if your hit rate is right. I want to find more of those people, and I want to detain fewer of the others. And Mr. Chair, in my remaining time, I have a lot to go. But I want to submit this letter from the Office of Inspector General that cites 10 different instances under Ms. Noem's leadership where they've been misled and not allowed to pursue investigations that they think are critically important. Does anybody have any idea how bad it has to be for the OIG in this agency to come out and do this publicly? That is stonewalling. That's a failure of leadership, and that is why I've called for your resignation. And if I don't get an answer to these questions, I don't want an applause. Please don't do that for me.
God damn.
If I don't get an answer to these questions, if I don't get an answer that you've had a month to respond to, and the remaining ones, as of today, I'll be informing leadership that I'm putting a hold on any en-bloc nominations until I get a response. And in 2 weeks, if I don't get a response, I'm going to deny quorum and markup in as many committees as I can until I get a response. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Support journalism.
God damn. Here are multiple senators confronting her about her use of the term domestic terrorist, referring to victims of ICE.
Of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, when I spoke to Alex's parents, they told me that you calling
Senator
him
Amy
a
Klobuchar.
domestic terrorist, this was directly from them the day after he was killed. A nurse in our VA, Alex, one of the most hurtful things they could ever imagine was said by you about their son. Do you have anything you want to say to Alex Preddy's parents?
We were relying in the hours after that incident that was so horrific on information we were getting from the ground
I
from
just
our
asked
agents.
if you had
What I
anything
would
you
say
wanted to say to the
what I would
parents
say-
or to the family
That's
of
what
Renee
I'm doing
Good
right
after
now, is
you
that
called
I
them domestic
can't
terrorists.
even imagine what they have gone through in the loss of their son and the loss of their family members.
But
It's
how about
absolutely
specifically
tragic.
calling them
And I
domestic
send
terrorists
them
without any evidence of
this.
that?
Sir, ma'am, I did not call him a domestic terrorist. I said it appeared to be an incident of.
I think the parents saw it for what it was.
In the recent hearing before the HISGAG committee, CBP and
The
ICE
HISGAG.
officials testified under oath that their
Hello, Media
agencies did
Witch.
not inform you that Preddy was a domestic terrorist during that hearing, stated during that hearing.
I was getting reports from the ground from agents at the scene, and I would say that it was a chaotic scene, as you've seen in Minneapolis and St. Paul, as immigration enforcement has gone forward, and we've worked.
You guys made it
targeting the
chaotic.
worst of the worst. That many times
And you
our
believe
agents have
calling-
been faced
you
with
believe calling
violent
the victims of that violence
protesters.
domestic terrorists as a way to calm the scene?
These violent terrorists have put them in a situation where they've been. It's unprecedented what these agents have faced.
She's
So
just
that
calling
situation on
citizens
the ground
terrorists.
That day was chaotic, and it was
And you
something
thought
that they
you'd
were
be a bridge over
transpiring and
troubled
sharing
waters and
information
brand them as
with
domestic
us.
terrorists? Can you explain why you decided to brand these victims that we all saw on video who were out protesting the activities of your agency and were killed as a result of it? How did you think that calling them domestic terrorists at that scene was somehow going to calm the situation?
You know, Senator, we are working in those situations where there's a tragic loss of life and that there is something that our agents are involved in.
Big
that we
Fang, welcome
continue
in.
to
Say you
deliver
were
information.
wrong? Is it so hard to say you were wrong?
We
and
continue
issue
as these
retraction?
investigations continue to go. We will provide. I absolutely strive to provide factual information, and will continue
And when
to
you
do
fail,
that.
do you admit it publicly?
Absolutely.
You said these appeared to be acts of domestic terrorism.
Senator Kennedy.
And as I've said previously in this hearing,
But
is that
first, Madam Secretary, did you say?
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Oh, no, Senator Kennedy, no. I do not consent.
getting
I think it's been
information from
widely
a
reported. chaotic
scene on the
Did you say
ground
that?
and relaying information to the American people.
Okay. Now, again, those videos are public. People can draw their own conclusions. I think it'd be safe to say you got some pushback on that.
Mhm.
Would that be fair?
He looks cute in his new glasses.
Some criticism. I'm not saying the criticism was accurate or inaccurate. I think you did. What got my attention was that you blamed those statements on Mr. Stephen Miller at the White House. Did you not?
No, sir, I did not. And in fact, where you're seeing that is in a news article of anonymous sources. And anonymous sources say a lot of things, but I've never said that at all.
Well, here's what you said on the record. I'm going to read your words. Quote, everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen.
Sir, where did you see me say that at? You read that in
It
a
was
news
reported
article with no sources
you said it
affiliated
on the
to it.
record on January 27th of 2026. Did I
Sir,
read your words accurate?
I enjoy working with the president and with Stephen Miller, and that day we were working to get as much information to the American people as possible.
When DHS agents hear what you and the White House say, those agents think they can do anything. They know there will be no accountability, for their lawlessness.
Senator
They
Hirono.
know that when they fire their weapons without restraints, you will immediately and reflexively blame the victims and label them domestic terrorists, regardless of the circumstances.
So you
And-
spoke to agents on the ground who told you they were domestic terrorism?
Yes.
Domestic terrorists?
My team was working with me, talking to those agents on the ground to relay as much information as possible that we could to the American
Your team
people.
told you that people in Minneapolis said they were domestic terrorists. Did they tell you whether they had any basis for that claim within either minutes or hours?
You're
of
not
the
wrong,
shooting of
DJ
Alex
Dub.
Pretty?
And Tillis did the best job
If
of
you
any
look
of them that
back
we've watched.
At the day of January 24th, there was a press conference earlier in the day, and then I held one hours later.
So I'm asking
and we
you,
were also
I'm
talking.
asking you, did you determine whether there was any basis for the sensational claim, a claim that proved to be utterly false, that these two victims were engaged in domestic terrorism?
There is an investigation ongoing. The
I'm aware of
FBI
that.
is
What
leading
I'm
that. There's
asking
also
you about,
internal
though, is not the
investigations
investigation that's
that
ongoing.
are ongoing.
I'm asking you.
And we'll continue
about-
to bring the
excuse
facts
me,
forward.
Excuse me, Madam Secretary. I'm asking about your statements
Mm-hmm.
in the immediate aftermath of these shootings.
Mm-hmm.
Your statements based on completely unvetted information that if it was even provided to you proved to be utterly false, that you were content to tell the whole country. Do you have any concern about misleading the whole country? Don't you think in the immediate aftermath of a shooting that you should provide only vetted information to the public?
Yeah.
How do you imagine you're going to gain the trust
That's
of
what a
American
reasonable
people
person does, though.
if you're pushing out false information about the shooting of American citizens?
I work every day to get factual information to the American
you
people.
didn't on
and
that
when
day.
and
You
the-
didn't on the day that Alex Pretty was shot, and you certainly didn't on the day Renee Good was shot. You weren't getting out good information. You were making a spurious claim that has caused endless injury to the victims' families on the basis of God knows what.
On the question of Alex Pretty and Renee Good, I heard
Senator
your
Peter
answers to
Welch, who
my
I've never
colleague,
even heard of.
Senator Schiff.
Where'd this motherfucker come from?
But knowing what you do know, do you want to take an opportunity to apologize to their families that you characterized them on the basis of the information you had at the time that they were engaged in domestic terrorism?
Yeah, I certainly offer my condolences to these families and for their loss. And it was a tragic situation that we saw in Minneapolis, and we continue to work to make sure that those situations are handled appropriately.
Question. I understand you're offering condolences. You said something.
Meat Cakes, welcome in. Thank you for the resub.
Terrorist. A 37-year-old mother of three, a 37-year-old Veteran Administration nurse.
No, he can't have been there too long.
One question. Do you want to apologize for that characterization that they were domestic terrorists?
I will continue every day to get up and to work hard to give
All right, thank you.
everybody
We won't get
factual information
I wanna
and
I wanna
do
move
all that I
on.
Support journalism.
Because who was the other senator from Vermont? It was Bernie and I feel like it was another independent. And he retired. I don't know. I'm losing my mind. That was Christy Gnome yesterday in front of the Senate. Today she was in front of the House Homeland Security. The House Oversight Committee.
American citizens, Madam Secretary,
Today
because your ICE agents shot them in the face and killed them, and each person you see up on this dais today represents 800,000 American citizens, and you should know that as a former member of Congress. Now, her brother said that Renee Good was someone who could make you believe things were going to be okay despite all the hardship because she chose optimism. Alex Pretty was a Boy Scout, a choir member, an outdoorsman from Green Bay who lavished attention on his beloved dog, Jewel. His sister called her brother someone.
Oh, it is
lighting up
4:20
every room that he walked into.
in the Mountain Time
But only a
Zone.
few
Line one
hours
up,
after
tip
they were
one
gunned
back.
down by your agents, you called Renee a domestic terrorist. You said Alex committed an act of domestic terrorism. Alex's parents responded to your calling their son a domestic terrorist. They said the sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. And I want to give you a chance before the entire country to correct your false and defamatory claim. Based on what you know today, Madam Secretary, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
Congressman, what happened in Minnesota in those two incidents was an absolute tragedy.
Were they domestic terrorists, as you said to the
My
country?
condolences to their families, because I know that their lives will never be the same after that happened.
Is that an apology for what you said?
We, in those incidents, offer as much information as we can from officers and agents on the ground in a chaotic scene that gets.
I'll repeat my question, reclaiming my time. Based on what you know today, Madam Secretary, based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
As you know, there's ongoing investigations that are being led by the FBI.
But you didn't wait for the investigation, did you? You didn't wait for the evidence. You proclaimed that they were domestic terrorists at the time. Why did you do that?
And you didn't wait to attack our law enforcement.
Why did you do that?
We're going into a dangerous situation.
Why did you call them domestic terrorists?
Because our ICE officers and our HSI officers that day risked their lives to protect that scene, so evidence could be reclaimed, so it could be used in the investigation. Because those violent rioters that
So
were
you're
there
proud of the fact that you called them domestic terrorists? Is that what you're telling America?
HSI officers put their lives on the line to protect that scene, so evidence so we could have.
Yes, they do.
thorough
Yes,
and
they do.
accurate
But you told a lie about them. You said that they were domestic terrorists. Do you regret that?
I offer my condolences to those family. And again,
Based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
there's ongoing investigations, and so I
So
can.
you still don't know? You think that's an open question?
I would think you would want there to still be investigations going into these situations.
Well, you stated the conclusion 2 hours after they were killed that they were domestic terrorists. I wanted to give you an opportunity to correct the record, not just for their family, but for everybody in America who believes in the truth and fairness and honesty.
In every situation, as facts come out, we relay.
You know, your acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, came before Congress. He said he had no knowledge whatsoever that Alex Preddy and Renee Good were domestic terrorists. None. This is your guy. He said that. He admitted that that was wrong. Why won't you admit it?
We'll tell you the investigation's still ongoing, and we'll.
So do you regret speaking before the investigation?
I would say that in those situations,
You regret
the
that?
chaotic scene on the ground, we relay information to the American people that they're asking for. And as things change, situations change.
People were asking you whether they were domestic terrorists?
We
And you
continue to
decided that they were before the investigation?
As we learn more, we.
You don't want to say anything to their families?
I did. I said I condolences.
For what?
I'm
How about an apology for what you said about their loved ones?
My heart is with them, and we will continue to stand with them as they get a complete investigation into these situations.
All right. Well, let me ask you some questions of law if you can't handle the facts. Very simple questions of law, not trick questions. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person for engaging in peaceful protest and nothing else? That's a yes or no question.
Each instances in peaceful protests, no, it's not.
Okay,
But I
good.
would say
Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person for filming them on a public street? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person just because that person is lawfully carrying a holstered firearm under the Second Amendment in state law?
No.
And finally, yes or no, is it lawful for federal agents to shoot an innocent person or even a criminal suspect just for driving away from them, according to the Supreme Court?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got the law right, and I hope you would rethink what you said about two good, honest, faithful American citizens and what that means to their families when you say that as Secretary of Homeland Security. And your ICE guy has already retracted that, and you should retract it too. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from
Sir. Sorry, I'm smoking a bong with Curious here. This is the first time I've seen her today. Raskin apparently asked Christy Gnome about her blankie. She had a meltdown about a blankie. So let's hear this.
Well, thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Secretary Noem. We're glad to meet you, even though it's been 13 months since you took office and more than 5 weeks since 2 American citizens were shot dead in Minneapolis. Renee Good was a 37-year-old poet, about 20 years younger than you are now, and like you, both a devout Christian and the mother of 3. She was on her way home from school drop-off when she encountered an ICE operation, and one of your agents shot her dead, shot her 3 times. She bled out in the driver's seat of her car after your agents refused to let a doctor or EMTs approach her. You expressed no sympathy for her family and no regret for her killing by an ICE agent. You ran a smear campaign against Renee Good. You called her a domestic terrorist. Alex Preddy was also 37 and, like you, a federal worker. He was an ICU nurse at a VA hospital, outstanding in his job, providing comfort to many of our vets in their final hours. He was standing on a street corner filming your agents as they roughed up peaceful protesters. Americans have a First Amendment right to record government agents in public places, as 8 different federal circuit courts have unanimously found. But your agents pepper sprayed Alex Preddy for helping a woman that they had pushed to the ground. Then they threw him to the ground. They beat him up. They stripped him of a lawful firearm he had never touched. And then, after confiscating it, they shot him dead with 10 bullets. Before his body was even cold, you launched a smear campaign against him, using the same language, asserting without evidence
Maynard made a
that
break
Alex
for it.
Preddy had committed a, quote, act of domestic terrorism and intended to kill law enforcement. This disturbing video tells the true facts you tried to cover up with propaganda, and we can play it only because other brave Americans used their phones to capture the actual reality of this horror.
Deadly ICE-involved shooting out of Minneapolis. The Minneapolis police chief says a woman was killed after being shot in the head by an ICE agent.
Renee Nicole Good was a 37-year-old U.S. citizen and mother of 3 who moved to Minnesota just last year.
It was an act of domestic terrorism.
Breaking news in Minneapolis and another deadly shooting involving a federal officer in that city. This video shows the incident from this morning with officers surrounding a man before taking him down and shooting him during a struggle. Officials later said the man had died. Minneapolis city officials said the man is a 37-year-old white male, a resident of Minneapolis. They also say he is believed to be an American citizen and that he was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry.
This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
Madam Secretary, you've provided no evidence.
It looked embarrassing.
Defamatory lie against either of these American citizens. There have been 3 homicides in Minneapolis in 2026. Your agents committed 2 of them. Rather than work with state and local authorities to solve these homicides, you barred Minnesota's investigators from the crime scenes. You're denying them access to all the evidence that you have about the deaths of their citizens. It smells like a cover-up, and it makes me wonder who the real domestic terrorists are. But you didn't just lie about Renee Good and Alex Preddy. In dozens of cases, federal judges have found that your officials lied to them in court. A Reagan-appointed judge rejected the testimony of your acting ICE director as, quote, disingenuous, squalid, and dishonorable. Another judge called the affidavit of a top ICE official, quote, the sorriest statement I've ever seen, adding she was shocked when she saw it, and that if you were asking to get a warrant issued on this, I'd throw you out of my chambers. Here are a few more examples of the many scores we found in the case books. Yesterday, you insisted under oath to the Senate that you follow court orders, but that's not true either. Just last month, your lawyers were forced to admit that you had violated immigration court orders more than 50 times in 10 weeks. And that was just in New Jersey, one of 94 judicial districts in America. In Minnesota, Judge Patrick Schultz, a George W. Bush appointee, concluded, quote, that ICE has likely violated more court orders in January of 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. And while you make a daily mockery of our courts and our Constitution, you're treating the billions of dollars our colleagues shower in your department like a personal slush fund. You budgeted an astonishing $220 million for media consultant contracts so you can star in self-promoting
Damn, those pictures.
and lavish ad campaigns like this one of you riding horseback at Mount Rushmore, which was shot during last year's government shutdown. You're living rent-free in the official waterfront residence reserved for the commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. You spent $172 million to buy not one, but 2 luxury jets for your travel, and now you're using taxpayer funds to lease a 3rd jet, a $70 million luxury 737 MAX with a queen-size bedroom in the back, a deluxe serving bar, and 4 flat-screen TVs. A big, beautiful
living
jet
high on the hog
by the big,
on our dime.
beautiful bill. Yesterday, under questioning the Senate, you said you plan to refurbish this jet to make it into this kind of airplane, which is what's actually being used for deportations in order to save the taxpayers' money. In other words, you're saying that's actually a deportation plane, but wouldn't it have been cheaper just to buy a deportation plane in the first place? It's like buying a Rolls Royce to turn into a Metro bus. I was almost prepared to buy that story of how the jet was both for executive travel and mass deportation. And then I heard about an airborne episode of entitlement, arrogance, and contempt that I could hardly
here we
believe.
go.
Apparently, when your special blanket, your blankie, was left on one of the government jets and not transported over to the new one, your special government employee, Corey Lewandowski, chivalrously stepped forward to fire the pilot mid-air, a 2003 Coast Guard Academy graduate and distinguished U.S. Coast Guard commander in Air Station, Washington, D.C. But then he had to be rehired immediately because there was no one else who could fly the two of you on the rest of the journey back home. Secretary Gnome, you're flying high now, maybe even a little bit too close to the sun. But with all these free planes and houses and pilots, you've traveled a long distance from your actual job and the things you should be doing as head of Homeland Security. Your agency is charged with protecting the homeland. It includes FEMA, TSA, the Secret Service, the Coast Guard, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, as well as ICE and CBP. Yet you've hollowed out the national security mission. You redeployed thousands of people responsible for tracking terror financing and fighting cyber threats to go work on your mass immigration roundup. You reassigned to the roundup agents working a key national security probe into Iran's terror financing, paralyzing that investigation. And to run what's left of Homeland Security's ruined terrorism prevention office, you actually installed a 22-year-old intern whose chief listed qualification for the job was that he had participated in a model UN club his junior year of college. Through FEMA, you're supposed to provide disaster relief to our communities. Yet last summer, as floods devastated.
Now, I want you to take notice. I believe it's this guy right here. It's the dude that is obscured by her head. That is her husband. He is sitting there during this hearing, and that is going to come into play here shortly.
Central Texas and killed 135 people, including...
Right-wingers like to use the word cuck. I feel like what's getting ready to happen to Christy Gnome's husband is a good cucking.
25 girls.
A congressional cucking.
Christian summer camp. You withheld crucial support, including search and rescue teams, for 72 hours. Why? Those were 3 crucial days during which people drowned and died, waiting for bureaucratic approval. You promised to use ICE and CBP to expel the worst of the worst, undocumented immigrants guilty of committing violent crimes like the people responsible for murdering the children of these angel families, these angel moms and dads who've joined us today. Instead, your masked agents have been indiscriminately rounding up any and all immigrants and citizens who your agents think look like they might be immigrants. They've arrested kindergartners, daycare teachers, and parents dropping off kids at school. They drag grandparents out of their homes in their underwear in sub-zero temperatures and rip children out of their beds in the middle of the night or use them as bait to arrest their parents. Just last month, your agents picked up Nurul Shah Alam, a severely disabled and nearly blind Rohingya refugee, lawfully in America, who didn't speak English. You claimed your agents dropped him at a safe, warm location. Again, not the truth. They dropped him off miles from his
Oh, we've heard that before.
at a closed coffee shop in sub-freezing temperatures. And now, because of this cruelty, this man too is dead. You have 250,000 employees and a budget larger than that of 150 countries. You command over 80,000 sworn law enforcement officers, more than the number of police officers in New York, Chicago, LA, Houston, DC, Las Vegas, and Dallas combined. On top of that, our colleagues have handed ICE an additional $75 billion by slashing funds for Medicaid, children's health insurance, and rural hospitals. Secretary Noem, your job is to protect the homeland, but the most precious possession that we've got in our homeland.
ICE was apparently aware the place was
in the
closed.
Constitution and the Bill of Rights that protect it. You seem to have forgotten what our most precious possession is. The billions of dollars showered on your department have paid for violence and chaos in the American heartland and a sweeping assault on the basic rights of the American people.
Well, she's riding high.
Heroic citizens of Minneapolis have shown America how to fight back against this reign of terror and win with the truth, with solidarity, with mutual self-help, with creative joy and humor and music, with mass nonviolent assembly and protest, and with irrepressible love of children and kindness towards animals.
Yeah, let's not be talking about love towards children here,
against
Raskin.
our people, and you've turned our people against our government. But the people are winning today, although we know we must continue to wake up every day, like the people of Minneapolis, and go out and fight for constitutional freedom.
Those Republicans
We are
love the
clearly
children
in
a
the
little
fight of
too
our
much.
lives, and we obviously have very serious questions for you today about what you are turning our government into. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I mentioned Noem's husband. Sitting behind her.
No, not at all. I just I think we're setting records like Mr. Biggs and now the
I'm
gentleman
being-
from California. You're gonna go for the record?
If I'm being honest, I threw out 50 of them.
God bless you.
Representative Jared
Let's get
Moskowitz.
started.
All right. A Vox article, The Mess That Christy Gnome Made.
Without objection.
Times article, Gnome's spending rule causes delays at Homeland Security.
Without objection.
Politico, vote to overhaul FEMA canceled after leaked report.
Without objection.
ProPublica, Christy Gnome misled Congress about top aide's role at DHS.
Without objection.
The Hill, Trump approval rating on immigration at record low.
Without objection.
Wall Street Journal, pilot fired over Christy Gnome's missing blanket.
What does this button say
CNN
about
article.
cricket?
Sources describe how Homeland Security
Rickety
Secretary
cricket?
Christy Gnome's Gucci bag was stolen under her chair.
Without objection.
New York Times, late night is distracted by Christy Gnome's oversized hats. That one's my
Without
favorite.
objection.
And a Times article, some Republicans join calls for DHS Secretary Christy Gnome to step down.
Without objection.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate your indulgence. Before I begin, first let me say to the families that are still here, I am
Justice
very sorry
for
your
cricket.
loss. I watched parents in my hometown of Parkland bury their kids after the shooting at my high school at Marjorie Stoneman.
Oh, Cricket was the name of her dog that she
It was
killed.
an out-of-body experience, and there's nothing like burying a child. So I am deeply sorry for your loss. Madam Secretary, welcome. Good afternoon. Thomas Massey mentioned Ron DeSantis' response during COVID. Well, you're looking at the guy who ran that response. I was the Director of Emergency Management for the state of Florida. For a Republican governor, I worked with the Trump FEMA administration during the Category 5 Hurricane Michael recovery. That Trump's FEMA was great. We got expedited reimbursement, a program that you got rid of or threatened to get rid of. And the Panhandle had one of the greatest responses after that Category 5 storm. The President said he wanted to reform FEMA, but that's not what you did. You've basically destroyed the agency. Largest FEMA backlog in the history of FEMA. My state of Florida is owed $2.5 billion. You have delayed the FEMA disaster declarations even when the applicants meet FEMA's statutory threshold under the Stafford Act. You want states to do more, yet you want to cut the EMPG program, which grants them funding to build capacity. Your office was involved
Once again, Tillis took her to task. Moskowitz is wearing a button that says Justice for Cricket.
Discussions of moving FEMA to Texas.
Which one was more effective?
Anything over $100,000 has to come to your desk. A rule that has slowed down FEMA reimbursement, FEMA response. We have empty regional offices. You have done the opposite of what President Trump wanted to accomplish, which was to speed up the process. Your policies have made the department slower. I didn't think it was possible to make FEMA.
Okay, Sig Fang, I can see that argument. There's a place for all the theatrics and
rescue
shit.
crews on the road for 72 hours. Days later, the FEMA urban search and rescue chief resigned in protest. You hired 2 people as the administrator with no FEMA experience. We're on our 3rd history of the department. Has that ever happened? The president took presidential action to create the FEMA Council. I supported it. You opposed the FEMA Council. You delayed its beginning. The report has still not come out. The White House canceled your last council meeting and has held up the release of the report. But surprise, I have it. I have it. I want to thank the former FEMA employees that you fired and gave this to me. This report's never been seen in public before, okay? But this is it. This was the report. It was 122 pages, the original draft report. You and Corey Lewandowski then took the report and made it 23 pages. You cut out all the stuff that was put in by governors who had been through disasters, emergency management directors, FEMA experts, national security experts. You cut it all out. It's all gone. That's why the report's not been released. Sitting in the White House trying to figure out this mess that you created. So instead of getting the recommendations we need, now we have nothing. You've called Corey Lewandowski a special government employee. I understand what government means. I understand what employee means, okay? But I don't know what makes him special.
Special government employee.
I want to give you an opportunity to answer on the record to Ms. Camlager-Dove's question. I know you said it's garbage, and it may be, but I really think you need to say the word no into the record so that you can clear that up.
I think the ridiculousness of this and the tabloids that you are quoting.
I guess I should have played her clip first.
And this has been
so that's a no?
Something that I've refuted for years, and I continue to do that.
So it's a no.
What I would tell you is
we can
when
move
it
on.
regards
Hold
to
on.
what you're
Madam
doing.
Secretary, we can move on. I'm not going to belabor it. If it's
this is what you do.
Hold on.
Socialist,
I'm not doing anything.
Liberal left is you go off and you attack conservative women, and you say that we're either stupid
I haven't
or
said
we're
anything.
sluts.
All right, so listen.
And that's what you do.
Yesterday, Richard, reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, reclaiming my time.
I might have to make that a drop.
You were asked by Richard Blumenthal yesterday if Corey was involved in approving contracts. You said no. Do you want to correct that?
What I would say is that he has an advisor to the Department of Homeland Security, has no decision-making authority.
Madam Secretary, do you want to correct it, yes or no? You don't want to correct it? Fine.
No decision-making authority, no role in
not a problem. According to one of the FEMA administrators that you fired, there is nothing, including contracts, that is brought to you that he hasn't reviewed. In fact, a significant amount of DHS internal routing documents has his signature on it above deputy secretaries. Okay, that former FEMA administrator wasn't fired by you, the secretary. He was fired by Corey. It was Corey that called him into your office. It was Corey that made him to submit to a polygraph test. The $100,000 spending rule that you created that comes to your desk, you're not even sitting at your desk. It's Corey who's sitting there. ISIS said the Republicans should be happy at the job that you're doing. Really? You're looking at the person who single-handedly took the president's signature core issue, immigration, the issue that got him elected from 59% to 39%. 200 miles of border walls being held up by you. They had to bring in Tom Homan, pull out of Minnesota. I think the country needs a national divorce from you on biblical grounds. I mean, if Donald Trump was still Apprentice Trump, he would look at you and he would
on biblical grounds,
cabinet member, and he would fire you. And if the president said to you that only way DHS could reopen is if you resigned, I hope you would take him up on it. Now, I want to end on a happy note, Mr. Chairman, real quickly. The president gave all sorts of stuff out during the State of the Union. I don't want you to leave. I got you a new Coast Guard blankie, the one you lost. Okay, so this is for you. You don't leave empty-handed when you come to judiciary. Thank you.
The gentleman has expired. The gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
She said thank you. I guess she's accepting the blankie. So this is the questioning that he was referencing. from Representative Camlogger Dove.
California is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Secretary, for joining us. Finally, you are in charge of protecting the homeland. And so your judgment and the judgment of your senior staff can be the difference between life and death. So I think that judgment would need to be unassailable. Why then, is the question, have you made Corey Lewandowski your de facto chief of staff who possesses an unchecked level of power at DHS? Under your leadership, this person has done things like fire your FEMA administrator while sitting behind your desk, which is your job to do, lobby to build the controversial detention facility known as Alligator Alcatraz, which has turned into a legal boondoggle costing Florida millions, and have veto and reviewing and signing power over large DHS contracts and grants, which again is your job. DHS has critical agency components like the Secret Service, FEMA, Border Patrol, cybersecurity. So does Corey Lewandowski have national security experience, military experience, law enforcement experience? No. He is a lobbyist, a failed campaign manager, which is causing my constituents who are waiting for their FEMA dollars and me to wonder what are his qualifications for this job. So according to the Wall Street Journal, you and Mr. L have a close relationship that has made President Trump, quote, uncomfortable. The president reportedly denounced Corey Lewandowski as your chief of staff due to reports of a romantic relationship between the two of you. So instead you designated him as a special government and employee, a position he has had well beyond the allowed 130 days and requires him to disclose if he is making money off of his position. Trump knows that this guy is shady. Corey has a decades-long record of physical battery, sexual harassment, illegal lobbying for a Venezuelan oil company, and bringing a loaded gun into a federal building. Despite being fired or removed from virtually every position he has ever held due to misconduct, he now wields unchecked, unconfirmed, undisclosed power over your department. This person has no experience running anything close to Department of Homeland Security or even advising someone in your position. He is unqualified, which again has left my constituents and I wondering why he is your top official. So Secretary Gnome, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and
my
ma'am,
time.
one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So reclaiming
and
my
is an
time,
advisor
Secretary, it is
and has
okay for
no,
you to be
no
offended
authority
by
to
the
be
question.
making any
It is
decisions.
okay for you to
has
be
no
offended
authority
by the
to
question.
be making
But it is
decisions
also
and
a
putting
real
up your
question.
position. So what I would say
and
to
you should be able to
is
answer
that
the
what we do at the Department of Homeland Security every single
and without
day,
any hesitation,
every single day is to protect
if
this
someone
country
is
and
asking
to make
if
decisions.
you or any federal official is sleeping with their subordinate, that should be the easiest. You should be wanting to answer that question.
Is garbage?
Because it is not about
It is
your sex
offensive
life.
that you have brought
It is
that up.
about your
So
judgment.
that kind of garbage
It is
has
about
been refuted
reclaiming
for
my
years,
time so
and
that
you
I
need
can
to
hear myself.
recognize-
Time belongs to the gentlelady from California, but it'd be nice if you would let her respond.
I will. I want to let you know it is about your judgment and decision making. It is about the 260,000 employees that work under you that want to make sure that you are giving information and making decisions clearly. It is about conflict of interest. It is about a national security risk. Department of Homeland Security was created right after 9/11 to protect the homeland. And DHS has circulated an internal bulletin to law enforcement partners warning that the conflict of the war we're in could inspire lone actors or small-scale cyber activity inside the United States, according to a memo obtained by ABC News. So American lives are at risk. The people who work for you are at risk. And they want to know that the person at the top, you, are making decisions clearly without any sort of cloudiness, and that they're your decisions because you're the secretary who was confirmed. That's what this is about. Saving the lives of Americans and not costing them millions of dollars, and not having a secretary who's compromised in her decision making. And Mr. Chair, before I yield my time, I would like to enter into the record some articles, and I'm asking for unanimous consent. Noem tightens her grip on DHS. Lewandowski fired FEMA admin.
Without objection.
Okay. The next one is Christy Gnome secretly took a cut of political donations from ProPublica.
Without objection.
Christy Gnome fires pilot over a blanket, but is forced to reinstate him to fly home. Wall Street Journal.
Without objection.
Lewandowski taking out trash at Noem's D.C. home. Daily Beast.
Without objection.
Barbie's Mile High privacy chamber with alleged lover exposed. Wall Street Journal, how Corey Lewandowski became Christy Gnome's gatekeeper at DHS.
Without objection.
A pilot fired over Christy Gnome's missing blanket and the constant chaos inside DHS. Wall Street Journal. Police charged Trump campaign manager with assault. PBS News.
Without objection.
Woman who accused Corey Lewandowski of assault speaks out. I don't want this to happen to anyone else. CBS News. Lewandowski's firm quietly inked deal with Venezuela-owned company Politico.
It's a magazine plug. Always got to be plugging something. Nancy Mace questioned Governor Tim Walz earlier today about Minnesota fraud. Good old Nancy, always good for a laugh.
Mace from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for being here today. Governor Walz and Attorney General Ellison, you have presided over one of the worst government fraud scandals in American history. This was money intended to feed hungry children.
I don't think that's true at all.
Autism, provide food and shelter and health care to the needy, and more. You both allowed billions in these American taxpayer dollars to be pillaged and plundered by Somali pirates. You knew this was happening, you chose to do nothing about it, and in some cases, you even enabled it. Attorney General Ellison, you even profited from this fraud by taking campaign donations from these Somalians after pledging to help quash the investigation into them. I find your behavior despicable. My questions this morning, my first go to Governor Walz, and I hope you learned some lessons from your last hearing with me on the Oversight Committee. Have you learned anything since
I did,
then?
that if I didn't speak up, 2 of my people would be dead, Congresswoman, and I warned you.
Okay, Miss Governor Walz, what is a woman? Have you learned that lesson? Do you know what a woman is?
I'm the governor of Minnesota, Congresswoman.
Do you know what a
I'm not
woman
here
is?
to be your prop for your obsession.
So
I
if you
taught middle
can't
school your
define what
obsession.
a woman is, you certainly can't define what fraud is. If you can't even define what a woman is, you can't define fraud. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2017?
I wish these people could feel embarrassment.
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today? Did you
I
do
did.
any preparation
I
for
take
this hearing
Congress
today?
seriously.
And you've seen the numbers about autism fraud in Minnesota. So we're going to do some Minnesota math with you today, okay? Are you ready? How much money was spent on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay. Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I don't have the number in front of me.
Were you governor in 2024?
I was, but I'm not the
Okay,
head
so
of
your
HHS.
excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you were not governor, and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million
Nancy Mace is a cunt.
was spent in 2024. What percent increase is that from $1 million to $343 million? What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Are you governor of Minnesota or not?
Yes, I am. I'm not.
Well,
I'm
when
not
I'm
a prop
governor of
for a
South
member of
Carolina,
Congress.
you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math. The math is 34,200% increase, an increase of 343 times what it was in this time period. Do you know the number of children in Minnesota?
I know that Minnesota ranked as a top 3 state for children in the last year.
What is the total population in Minnesota?
5.7 million.
Okay. What is the total population of children in Minnesota?
I don't have the number in front of me right now.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I know 400,000 were cut out of health care last
Okay,
week by
that's
the
not-
actions you made.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
She almost said South Carolina.
I am.
Because she wants to be the governor of South
Of
Carolina.
children
I
residing
don't have
in
the
Minnesota.
specific number. It's 5.7 million.
That's your total
What is your age?
population.
What is the age? 0 to 5? 0 to 19?
You have approximately 1.2 million children in Minnesota.
What
I'm not
age?
even governor of South Carolina. Our population in South Carolina is 5.5 million. We have approximately 1.1 million children under the age of 18 in my home state of South Carolina, okay? As governor, I expect you to know this information. Thank God you're not vice president of the United States. Do you know approximately how many children in Minnesota are autistic or on the spectrum?
No, I don't have that number.
Okay. Well, if you take the CDC's roughly 1 in 36 kids are on the spectrum, we're talking about approximately 33,000 kids. In South Carolina, it's about 31,000 or so. What is, do you know what this is per child, spending-wise, in the fraud for autistic kids in Minnesota?
In the fraud.
Again, I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell us.
Is doing Minnesota math a prop? This is math. We're talking about fraud.
Minnesota ranks at the top. Where does South Carolina rank?
We're talking about money.
Where do South Carolina children rank on healthiness?
These are my questions for you. It doesn't go the other way around unless we're debating on the debate stage. And we're not.
If you're asking questions about being governor, it does.
I'm asking you
When you're
questions
governor,
about
you can
being
come and
governor
tell
of
me.
Minnesota, which you can't answer. This is basic math. And you can't even answer.
not
Do you
here to
even
be your
care
prop.
about kids in Minnesota?
They rank near
Do
the
you
top
care?
in every category. My children are fed. My
Care about
children are housed.
autistic
My
children
children have
getting
health
the
care.
services they need in
My
Minnesota.
children have the best
No,
schools.
you don't. Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Mr. Chairman.
Your lady yields back.
I think he did good there.
Who's Miss Bobert? Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, Miss
Bobert.
May I make my 2 motions?
Proceed.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee issue a subpoena to the Honorable Pamela Jo Bondi to appear before the committee for a deposition regarding the department's handling of the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and his associates and compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
A motion has been made.
I'm glad
We'll hold this motion
Nancy
in abeyance
did
until the end of
the
today's
natural transition for me to the Epstein files because that's where we're going next. It apparently got heated between Nancy and Hillary during the deposition the other day. We now have the video. You might have watched it all with Media Winch, but I got kind of the choice cuts here that we're gonna check
Your
Oh.
out.
question.
Now you're gonna yell
This
at
was
me?
what I spent
You're
my
going to yell at
time
me.
doing.
I'm a
I
survivor
spent
trying to look out for other survivors, trying to
and
get to the
I
bottom
was
of it.
taking care
You
of
waited
the
6
people
months
who
to get
lost
here today.
3,000
6 months,
lives.
and now
Yield to Miss Mace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Secretary, thank you for returning this afternoon. Secretary Clinton, is your husband someone the committee should investigate?
My husband will be here tomorrow. You'll have a chance to ask him questions.
So my question is your husband someone this committee should investigate?
Asked and answered. Apparently you are. You've subpoenaed him. He's going to be here tomorrow.
In your testimony before the break, you discussed why you believe President Trump should testify before a committee due to a, quote, pattern of behavior, end quote. You testified that a pattern of behavior warrants accountability. So I want to make sure I understand your standard correctly. The pattern of behavior you describe includes being held civilly liable, indictments, sexually deviant behavior, correct?
Yes.
Flash
In
making it funny
1998,
over
your husband
here.
was found civilly liable for sexual misconduct with Paula Jones and settled for $850,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
By your standard of pattern of behavior, should your husband testify before this committee?
He is testifying tomorrow.
On December 19th, 1998, President Clinton was impeached on charges of perjury and obstruction of justice, which directly related to his extramarital affair with Monica Lewinsky. Is that correct?
Yes.
And your husband was impeached for perjury related to sexual behavior, correct?
I didn't understand what you said.
Your husband was impeached for perjury related to sexual behavior, his sexual behavior.
He was impeached for several reasons, and then was acquitted in the Senate.
And your husband flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane 17 to 26 times, correct?
He made several trips with different legs on the trip, as I recall.
But he flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane
Yes, he
17 to
did.
26 times? Were you aware that Secret Service was dropped on some of those flights?
That is not my understanding.
Where they were not on some of those flights?
That is not my
So
understanding.
your understanding is that Secret Service was on all of the flights that President Clinton was on?
That is
with
my
Epstein?
understanding.
By this standard of behavior, multiple credible accusers, including Juanita Broderick, who alleged rape against your husband. Your husband was disbarred in Arkansas, lost his law license before the Supreme Court, flew on Epstein's plane dozens of times, visited Epstein's island.
That is not true. That is absolutely untrue.
Well, there's documentation in the DOJ files. I'm not sure you're aware, your attorneys have told you, but Jeffrey Epstein told one of the victims to lie to investigators, to lie that Bill Clinton was ever on Epstein Island. I can provide that document to you.
We would like that document, please.
Okay,
Yeah, counsel,
I can do
because
that.
actually the files say just the opposite. Epstein himself denied he was.
These are FBI notes from an interview with a victim, and I can get you the victim number and the case number and the files. These are notes from a 302 interview.
If you'd like
those, are you going to provide those now? I don't. That's not my line of questioning. She brought it up, but I have.
Well, that's one of those things that's not really credible. It's not a
Everything
vetted
as an exhibit.
It's but it's factually inaccurate.
piece of
No, I can
evidence.
give it to you later. I can go find the document, make copies of it, and give it to you this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Okay. By your standard of pattern of behavior, according to documents released by the Department of Justice, your husband appears in photos in swimming pools, hot tubs, aboard Jeffrey Epstein's private plane with unidentified young women. We came here today and told this committee that a pattern of behavior demands accountability, correct?
I said that I believe the committee should call anyone who had a substantial pattern and practice of contact with Jeffrey Epstein and his crimes before they came to
Even
light.
she's like, if Bill's guilty, prosecute him.
You're going to have a chance to question him tomorrow.
So I'll ask you again, by the standard you just set.
Well,
in
now
your
that
own
you've
words
said
just
that,
now,
Lenny,
does this
I'm
standard
kind of
apply
wondering, why did he feel the need?
husband or only President Trump?
I have said that my husband has been subpoenaed. He will appear. He will answer your questions to the best of his ability. But there is no evidence whatsoever of any connection with Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. And I think that that will be obviously apparent in the questioning.
What makes you so sure of that then? I mean, he's photographed with...
Objection
No,
is to speculate on something that's not.
Yeah, it is so speculative. I mean, swimming in a pool, sitting in a hot tub, there are millions of people who do that without any improper behavior or certainly committing any crimes.
Well, not with pedophiles.
Do you think most of the men are like your husband that did anything wrong by were they being surrounded by young women, giving them massages on Jeffrey's private estate or private plane? Are they all innocent then?
You know,
Just because-
you are making assumptions in your questions that have not been proven and I don't believe are provable.
Okay. Why did you wait 6 months to have this hearing today or have this testimony?
You know, I've answered that. I thought that given the way that other witnesses who were subpoenaed at the same time were being treated, that there was an unfair treatment of both my husband and myself. And I
wrong.
thought that, especially from my perspective, I had very little, if any, information to provide you, and that I could have done it in a sworn statement, and you could have moved on to depose somebody else who might have more information that would be beneficial to your
I have two more
investigation.
questions, then we're going to pass it to Congresswoman Luna. After Jeffrey Epstein was convicted, did it concern you at all that you had taken a substantial amount of money from Jeffrey Epstein?
That's an inappropriate assumption. I did not take a substantial amount of money from Jeffrey Epstein. So far as I know, Jeffrey Epstein contributed to the joint committee that was supporting my Senate race.
Which was how much?
I believe I was told $20,000.
And you don't consider $20,000 substantial?
I do not consider it relevant to me because I had no recollection that I ever knew that he gave any money to
So
the
you
joint
didn't talk
committee.
to your donors that gave $20,000 to your campaign?
My understanding of the rules back then is that there was no coordination between the committee and the campaign. So, no, I have no recollection.
Cannot believe my chat is gooning over Hillary
That doesn't
Clinton
prohibit,
over
that
here.
does not prohibit you speaking to
But
donors.
I didn't know he was a donor. As far as I knew, he was not a donor until I learned this in
Did it
preparation.
concern you
And
at
she's
all
like,
that
where were you
Maxwell
at in
was heavily involved with people
2016?
you knew and were close to?
I knew people that I knew her. Yes, that's true.
And you just shrugged, you didn't want to look into it or have any
Nobody,
question about it?
until her crimes were revealed and she was indicted,
Oh, I
and
would.
tried and convicted, I don't think people knew. Very
I had a
much about
crush
at
on
all.
Chelsea when I was a kid.
I
She's like
know
a year or
Howard
two,
Lutnick
three
because
older
when
than me.
I was senator on 9/11. The firm he headed, Cantor Fitzgerald, suffered the greatest loss of life. As I recall, something like 650 of his employees were murdered by terrorists that day. Howard Lutnick missed being
No, Lenny, he
because
did not.
He was delayed dropping
know
his
that. I
child
asked
off
him.
to
Yeah.
kindergarten. You asked the question. I'm going to answer your question.
Now you're gonna yell
This
at
was
me?
what I spent
You're
my
going to yell at
time
me.
doing.
I'm a
I
survivor
spent
trying to look out for other survivors, trying to
and
keep
I
accountable.
was taking care
You
of
waited
the
6
people
months
who
to
lost
get here today.
3,000
6 months,
lives
and now you're being
at World
defiant
Trade
and
Center.
indignant today.
You asked me
I have
about
met
Howard
with Epstein
Lutnick.
survivors. I'm a survivor myself. You have emails. You've denied that Jeffrey Epstein, that you tried to get Jeffrey Epstein to give money to you.
I did
but
not.
Howard Lutnick was
If
used
you
to
have an
get
email
money.
with me asking Jeffrey
I
Epstein
have
for
an
money,
email from Howard Lutnick sending it to
what's
Jeffrey
the question?
Epstein and his people to
I
raise
don't-
money for
I don't
you
know about-
for an event, an intimate event for you at his offices
Well,
at Cantor Fitzgerald. You're
look,
going to sit
if
here
you-
today
if you would let me finish.
and obfuscate and say to this committee, you,
Well, Drake, I don't want to question a woman's story, but what Nancy Mace is referring to when she says she's a survivor is the story that she told on the House floor about her ex-fiance running some sort of a sex ring, and that he was filming them without her consent, and that they had young girls that they had been trafficking, and that when she found out, she got out of there, but she's still tied up with him in like real estate. Yeah, she did it on the House floor so that she couldn't be held, like he couldn't sue her for defamation, which he still did. But that's, and we've had update, like it's a whole thing. I spotlighted that in the best of 2025.
didn't try to get money from Jeffrey
I
Epstein
didn't.
when
I
there was
didn't.
an intimate event in an email that Howard Lutnick emailed to Epstein's people and Epstein to get him to come to your intimate event at Cantor Fitzgerald, a very small event. And so I'm not going to public. You want to yell at me, that's fine, but I'll yell right back.
Well,
okay? I am looking out for
it's
survivors.
very-
I'm doing
look-
the job that
Ooh,
you
I like it when you yell, Nancy.
Secretary of State. Thank you, and I yield back to
No,
Congresswoman.
I'm going to finish answering the question, which I have a right to do. I am very sympathetic to your personal situation. I have read about it. I have seen you testify or speak on the floor about it. And I very much sympathize with not only what you went through, but appreciate your effort to stand up.
The whole time I felt like she was shoveling
I was a
bullshit at
senator.
me.
Representing the people who were murdered on 9/11. Nobody lost more people than Howard Lutnick. You can say whatever you want. You can call him and have him appear before the committee. But I knew,
You should.
I knew him as the man who lost the employees that he knew intimately, including his brother.
And he was a
so
good
I
between
worked.
you and
Let
Jeffrey
her finish
Epstein
her
raising
answer,
money
please.
for you.
Let her finish her answer.
You know what? If you don't want to hear what emotionally affected me, that's fine. But that's why I know Howard Lutnick. I went to the memorial service every 9/11 after the formal service was held.
I see what you're
with
doing here,
all,
and you're
with
obfuscating
all
from
of
the
his
questions. He was the
people, the
go-between
families.
between you and Jeffrey Epstein raising money for your
Well,
campaign.
you know, Howard Lutnick and I did
Thank
work
you. I will
together
now yield
because
to
we had a
Congresswoman
lot of
Noem.
victims
Thank
to take care of, and we worked together to rebuild downtown Manhattan. That is how I know Howard Lutnick.
They should absolutely have Howard Lutnick testify. He's the one that took his kids to Pedophile Island and said that's proof he didn't do anything wrong. Here are some of the wildest highlights from the deposition of both Bill and Hillary. We're going to do like a supercut here.
Former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton giving their testimony to the House Oversight Committee about their relationship and interactions with the disgraced billionaire sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. These are the 6 wildest moments from the depositions. Number 6, Bill reveals background on viral hot tub photo.
So do you recall the details of this photo or recall the photo being taken?
No, I don't think I ever knew the photo was taken.
Okay, and for those who can't see it, it's a photo of you in a hot tub. There's a person next to you here. Do you remember where it was taken? Where was it taken?
I'm almost sure that this pic, and I think there's an adjacent photograph, which you probably have, that if people saw it, they would feel that someone was trying to con them showing this picture. But anyway, this picture was taken in Brunei. Anyway, he wanted, when he knew I was coming, he said he wanted to help me with my AIDS initiative, and he invited me to stay there. And he said, I want you to stay at this hotel, and I hope you'll use the pool.
Those early
So
2000s.
I did. And then I
Mid
got out
2000s.
and went to bed, exhausted.
Well,
Brunei.
it appears there's this photo, there's a girl over here, or there's someone.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
But he's also asking in the pool area were there other
Yes,
individuals?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so you don't know?
No, and then there were other people in the pool.
Okay, so do you remember were they under 18? Would you
No.
know? No.
Were they part of your traveling party, he's asking you?
Yes, they were, I think. I think everybody there was part of our party. It was late at night, or late-ish, and
Oh yeah, Bill was having a party.
I also believe that there was a Secret Service agent there at the other end of the pool.
And then I have to ask this, did you engage in any sexual activity
No.
with this person?
Number 5, Hillary gets questioned on wacky Pizzagate conspiracy.
Have you reviewed any 2025-2026 Epstein files that were released that you believe reference or relate to those specific 2016 claims regarding the Podesta emails, Comet Ping Pong Pizza?
Yes, that is Lauren Boebert.
Possibly?
I'm sorry, does
You're
this
asking
relate-
her about whether
Excuse me.
she's reviewed emails in
In
the
the
Epstein
Epstein files.
files, which relate to the wacky Pizzagate
You
scandal.
could characterize it however you want. I just would like to know if she's familiar with any of them.
So
She's
excuse me,
commenting.
your question is about whether or not she has reviewed any emails in the Epstein release files about Pizzagate.
Correct.
She's laughing it off.
Pizzagate was totally made up. It was an outrageous allegation that ended up hurting a number of people, that caused a deranged young man to show up with his assault rifle and shoot up a local pizzeria. I can't believe you're even referencing
It seems like such a quaint time now.
the crazy conspiracy stories that are online. I regret that anybody does. I find it quite sad, but also disturbing that people would believe some of what is put forth, like Pizzagate. So I have taken no steps to review anything
Do you think
that might
pizza-
have any connection to something which I think is totally bogus.
Number 4, Bill sticks up for President Trump.
He never, the president, never, this is 20-something years ago, never said anything to me to make me think he was involved in anything improper with regard to Epstein either. He just didn't. He just said we were friends, and then we had a falling out over a land deal.
Do you recall whether President Trump elaborated at all on the great times that he had with Jeffrey Epstein?
No, and I took, at the time, I didn't put any, sexual spin on it.
And as far as you recall, President Trump characterized the nature of the ending of their friendship as being solely due to the real estate bidding.
That's what he said.
Number 3, Hillary explodes at Nancy Mace during questioning on Howard Lutnick.
And then how do you know Howard Lutnick?
This is the clip we just watched.
I know Howard
The
Lutnick
truncated
because
version.
When I was senator, on 9/11, the firm he headed, Cantor Fitzgerald, suffered the greatest loss of life. As I recall, something like 650 of his employees were murdered by terrorists that day. Howard Lutnick missed being a victim because he was delayed dropping
know
his
that. I
child
asked
off
him.
to
No.
kindergarten. You asked the question. I'm going to answer your question.
Now you're gonna yell
This
at
was
me?
what I spent
You're
my
going to yell.
time.
Well, did Epstein have inside information on 9/11?
And I was taking care
You
of
waited
the
6
people
months
who
to get
lost
here today.
3,000
6 months,
lives
and now you're being
at World
defiant
Trade
and
Center.
indignant today.
You asked me
I have
about
met
Howard
with Epstein
Lutnick.
survivors. I'm a survivor myself. You have emails. You've denied that Jeffrey Epstein, that you tried to get Jeffrey Epstein to give money to you. I did not. Howard Lutnick was
We're
used
about 5 minutes away from 420 on the West Coast.
Howard Lutnick sending it to
what's
Jeffrey
the question?
Epstein and his people to
I
raise
don't-
money for
I don't
you
know about-
for an event, an intimate event for you at his offices
Well,
at Cantor Fitzgerald. You're
look,
going to sit
if
here
you-
today
if you would let me finish.
obfuscate and say to this committee, you didn't try to get money from Jeffrey
I
Epstein
didn't.
when
I
there was
didn't.
an intimate event in an email that Howard Lutnick emailed to Epstein's people and Epstein to get him to come to your intimate event at Cantor Fitzgerald, a very small event. And so I'm not going to public. You want to yell at me, that's fine, but I'll yell right back.
Well,
okay? I am looking out.
One of her lawyers just wrote a note to her.
Would not do and refuse to do as Secretary of State. Thank you, and I yield back to
No,
Congresswoman.
I'm going to finish answering the question, which I have a right to do.
Number 2, Bill says he hasn't sent an email since the Kosovo War.
You did not email. How often do you send emails, or did you send emails?
Have you ever sent an email, Mr. President?
I sent one email to John Glenn, Senator John Glenn, when he was in space at age 77. And I sent an email to the
This motherfucker.
US ship in the Adriatic.
This motherfucker can name every email he's ever sent. Because it's like 3. Holy shit. That's amazing.
Ship in the Adriatic during the Kosovo War.
Have you sent any other emails, Mr. President? He's asking.
Since then, I'm not sure I've sent one.
Okay.
And number 1, Hillary nearly storms off after photo leaks during the deposition.
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
I have
There
another.
are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying from inside this room. Can you please advise me as to whether or not that's permissible and consistent with the rules, particularly given that we have asked for a public hearing? If there are photos that are being released of the secretary as she is testifying, can you please explain how that
I'm
can
done
occur?
with this. If you guys are doing that, I am done. You can hold me in contempt from now until the cows come home. This is just typical behavior.
We will go off the record.
Oh, for heaven's
So I would
sake.
like to understand how that's permissible.
Before the hearing was,
It doesn't
Excuse
matter.
me.
We all are abiding by the same rules.
I will take that down.
Yeah,
So
well.
I would like to take a break at this moment.
Yeah,
and I'd like to have
I'm
a
done
conversation.
for now.
Go off the record. Go off the record.
I mean, I don't blame her. She was within her rights there. And one of the things that they didn't show you was that Clinton said that he was hanging out with J.D. Pritzker of Illinois. Pritzker is saying, no.
Now, during former President Bill Clinton's testimony to a House Oversight Committee on Jeffrey Epstein just yesterday, he mentioned Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker by name.
So today we asked the governor about it. He says he never flew on Epstein's plane. And now this evening we're hearing a bit of a clarification from a Clinton aide. Our political reporter,
Less than 2 minutes from 420 on the West Coast.
Good evening. Yes, Governor Pritzker, he is a longtime friend of the Clintons and was one of the chairs of Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. However, he is making it clear he never met Jeffrey Epstein. Here is what former President Bill Clinton said in his testimony to the Oversight Committee when he was asked about traveling for the Clinton Foundation.
I think it was on one of these trips, I think, that I had my first trip for the man who's now the governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and his wife. They helped me get started. All a matter of public record.
Okay.
President Clinton clearly was mistaken, and he corrected the mistake.
Today, Governor Pritzker was quick to respond. Were you aware of the connection between Epstein and the Clintons?
Oh, no, I've never even heard of Jeffrey Epstein until, obviously, the scandal that broke out in, 2019.
A Clinton spokesman on social media late Monday said
About 40
the Pritzker
seconds
trips
until
were
420 on
never
the
with
West Coast.
Epstein or on his plane. Pritzker's name does not appear in the flight logs for Epstein's plane. But Illinois Republican candidate for Governor Darren Bailey is still calling for an independent review. Pritzker quickly pivoted to criticism of President Trump.
The Republicans are trying to, it's a wag the dog. Let's, look over here, look over here. Don't look at the leader of their party.
Recently, Pritzker's cousin, Thomas Pritzker, announced he was stepping down as...
Oh, so there is a Pritzker involved with Jeffrey Epstein. Light one up, tip one back. West Coast peeps. Apparently, Ozempic is changing the way restaurants serve food. There's so many people on that shit that they're ordering less like sides and potato sides and pasta sides and shit like that. Yeah, we're getting smaller portions of things now. Whereas the trend had always been towards bigger portions. Thanks, Ozempic people. Shrinkflation not new though. You're right. But the cutting down on like the offerings of potato sides and shit is nothing I want. Well, they're saying like something like 10% of the population are on those motherfuckers now. We're talking about 10% of the... And I'm talking about chain restaurants. We have new photos show what the insides of Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch look like. We may get new investigations into Zorro Ranch.
We're finally getting to look inside Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch in our state through some new photos. Epstein and his estate owned the Santa Fe County property until 2023. That's when former Texas State Senator Donald Huffines bought it. Now, these new photos of the property are from an insurance company, and they were taken when Epstein was still alive. I mean, you can see just how big the property is, multiple offices, cabins, barns, buildings. I mean, look at the large pool inside. Then you have a great room right there with that huge chandelier. At the time, there was also a fire truck, tanker, and trailer on the property, as well as a firehouse and storage facility. Meanwhile, there is a growing memorial on the property's outskirts paying tribute to Epstein's victims and survivors.
I can't imagine what they had to endure. I wanted everybody to know that New Mexico was strong and that we would represent these victims, living victims, survivors.
Organizers say they hope the memorial will serve as a wake-up call. No charges, though, were ever filed against Epstein here in New Mexico. However, state leaders just established a truth commission to further investigate what happened at that property.
So apparently an investigation was launched in 2019 after Epstein's arrest. The FBI asked for that investigation to be made federal, and then it went nowhere. It is possible local officials will reopen investigations. Dan Crenshaw has been like persona non grata for years now. There's the eye pussy. So I don't even know how I feel. He's been doing a lot of insider trading. Look up Dan Crenshaw and insider trading. That's why he's been laying low. Apparently, we now have police activity on Epstein Island. This is not the Zorro Ranch that we just saw. This is Epstein Island. TMZ reporting this today. This is a police boat. Little St. James Island. Who knows? A man who is a deputy chief of staff for an office in New Jersey's local government. I can't. Jersey City, deputy chief of staff. Got busted for a DUI. Here's some video of it.
What's up, bud? How's everything? Good?
Happened September 30th of last year, just released, fresh off the presses.
Huh? You tapped it? Hey, can you explain to me what happened though? Tapped it, that's it? Hey, do you have your keys to the car? Turn it off. Give me the keys.
Sir, you're drunk.
Step out of the car. Come over here. Come over here. Just stand over here. What are you called for?
The deputy chief of staff of Jersey City.
And East 2 also reach out for a field sobriety officer. He's heavily intoxicated. Him. You.
No, that's not true. You know it's not true. You know it's not true.
Sir.
That's bull. That's bullshit. That's bull. That's bull.
You're repeating everything you keep saying. That indicates it. Did you have? Be honest with me. Did you have anything to drink?
Two.
Okay. All right.
Two.
Just have a seat. Just have a seat. Just have a seat. Just have a seat. Have a seat.
And you know what? Cops are cool.
It is 5:30.
We literally added everybody. We cared about you. All of you cops. And what's happening here? I'm getting my ass kicked. Literally. We hired more cops than any other administration. It's not fair. And you know it. You know it.
Oh, now he's whipping his dick out.
This is like political backwards. It's not fair.
Your registration insurance is in your vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not fair.
Okay.
It's not fair,
Okay.
girl.
I hear you.
We hired.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you yelling and you trying to get my attention. It's not working. It's really not working in your favor right now.
Since we have a bus going there.
Can you please call her?
Sit in the car.
Can you please call her?
Put your legs in there. You guys back down?
Kind of disrespectful to the officer.
Okay, yeah, take him out.
Yeah, call an adult woman a little girl.
Hudson County. If I'm the county executive in Hudson County, then you know what? I get off DUI. If I'm any county politician in Jersey City.
Oh, he is running for mayor, by the way.
If I'm any elected official in the state of New Jersey that does this, I get off. Craig Guy got off of his little DUI. Literally.
Phil, you gonna let me finish this, please?
Who cares? Who cares? Craig Guy got off. Craig Guy got off. We all know that.
Right.
Craig Guy got off of a DUI. You motherfuckers all know it.
Phil.
You guys all know it.
Phil, this is part of my job. Please allow me to do it. Thank you.
He's cute. I'd fuck him.
I understand.
I love cops.
I love cops.
We're good cops. You guys,
Phil,
good cops.
can you allow me to read?
I think that's why he's having a breakdown. He knows his political career is over. But I don't know. Getting arrested nowadays doesn't necessarily end your political career. Look at the president. Maybe this woman in Nashville would like to run for office. Perhaps that's what she was setting herself up to do. Naked woman arrested on Sunday after police say she bit an officer at Centennial Park. She sounds like my dream woman. Naked woman arrested Sunday after police say she bit an officer. 39-year-old woman was arrested, taken into custody after police say she bit an officer after running towards people at Centennial Park completely naked. According to police, an officer spotted Ashley Masterson running around the area naked while holding a sign that was attached to a piece of wood. I don't think this is the story.
Tennessee's role in the civil rights movement is...
Yeah. I gotta know what she looks like. That's the only story about her. And they don't have a picture or anything. Masterson initially fled the officer who was attempting to detain her. It is in Nashville, apparently. Nashville. That's why you would think it would get more coverage. The officer had a visible bloody bite mark. She reportedly began kicking and screaming and bit the officer on the inside of his right arm. Well, this is her, but we do not have a mugshot. Public intoxication, disorderly conduct, evading arrest, public indecency. Oh no, Tennessee totally publishes mugshots. If it happens once, shame on you. If it happens twice, I have no idea how it goes. 2 different kids got stuck in a goddamn claw machine.
I looked away for, I would say maybe 15 seconds. They were just like, Cooper, your son is in the claw machine. And I just like,
It has happened again. Curiouser, she loves claw machines. Curiouser plays the shit. I've seen her play so many claw machines. I didn't know kids could get stuck in them. He looks proud of himself.
A few weeks ago, First Alert 4 introduced you to Cooper, a 2-year-old who climbed into the claw machine at the Veta Soccer Dome in Webster Groves. Fire department had to be called to get him out. Well, now, believe it or not,
Had to get him out. Did they take it apart?
The same claw machine, the same exact location. First Alert Force, Jeffrey Bullard.
The same claw machine. What are the odds of that happening? You gotta be shitting me.
Now, believe it or not, it happened again. The same claw machine, the same exact location. First Alert Force, Jeffrey Bullard.
Well, that sounds like a flaw with that particular claw machine.
Second in less than a month to claw his way into the machine.
For 3-year-old Patrick Campbell,
he's definitely rambunctious.
The decision to climb inside a claw machine was simple.
I get ball.
I get ball.
He says he was watching his daughter's game at the soccer dome in Webster Groves when he looked over and realized his son was gone and found his way inside this machine.
That happens sometimes.
Reaction, like someone took a picture of him and he immediately just said cheese and posed for the camera, like unfazed that he was stuck in a machine.
Making quite the conversation for his sisters.
I saw the picture, I'm like, I knew Patrick was gonna get stuck in there.
Thankfully, Dad came to the rescue and convinced Patrick to crawl out, but just a few weeks ago, the fire department had to get this 2-year-old boy named Cooper out of the exact same machine.
That was my first, anything like that, yeah. I had twin 5-year-olds, so I can totally see how this happens.
He was having an absolute blast, or an absolute ball, depending on how you want to look at it.
And since firefighters need to be prepared for everything.
So yeah, this box was made so that if we had a situation like that again, then we could have these tools to access and just carry them all in.
A toolkit that Campbell's hope won't be needed next soccer game.
We'll for sure be back. I don't know if Patrick will go this time, but...
In Webster Groves,
Piss in my face.
Jeffrey Bullard, First Alert 4.
So, McDonald's has a new hamburger out. I watched Review Bra's breakdown of it last night, but I don't think Review Bra knew about the kerfuffle that had already happened when the McDonald's CEO did a TikTok video or something of him trying out the new McDonald's hamburger, the Big Arch. It's the Big Arch.
Chris K here with... You've heard about it. Here it is, the Big Arch. This is something that we have tested already in Portugal, Germany, Canada. I love this product. It is so good. I'm going to do a tasting right now, but I'm going to eat this for my lunch, just so you know. So here we go. First, holy cow. God, that is a big burger. We've got a very unique kind of sesame.
He loves this product, yet he was surprised when he looked at it for the first time. It sounded all right. Review Broad didn't really describe what the sauce is. He said it wasn't a Big Mac sauce, but he said it was okay and it overpowered the white cheddar. There's like 2 patties and 3 pieces of white cheddar.
Me, poppy sort
of crispy onions. It's got crispy fried onions and then it's got regular onions.
Of bun on it. We've got 2 quarter-pound patties, a delicious Big Arch sauce, and of course some lettuce. So,
yeah, I don't know what the Big Arch sauce is. Hold on. Let's find out what the Big Arch sauce is. Mustard, pickle, and sweet tomato. It's the type of Thousand Island. It's close to a Big Mac sauce.
Let's try to get this thing. I don't even know how to attack it. Got so much to it. Oh, there's also some crispy onions on here as well. I see those kind of coming out. All right.
Yeah, he didn't know what was on this.
That is so good. That's a big bite for a Big Arch. It's distinctively McDonald's. Only McDonald's could do this type of burger.
Did he spit it out? Because there's a cut. He spit it out, didn't he?
Truth. That is so good. That's a big bite.
Cut to an empty mouth.
Distinctively
That's a big
McDonald's. Only McDonald's could do this type of burger, but it also is unlike anything else on our menu. It's a delicious product. You know, you've got sort of the cheeses and the gooiness, but those crispy onions as well gives a nice texture. And of course, we've got the pickles. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of my lunch, but Big Arch, try it when you can get it. Chris K here with, you've heard about it. Here it is, the Big Arch. This is something.
Has anybody had the Big Arch yet? Anybody in chat had the Big Arch yet? Yeah, this is the CEO. I feel like they used to have it, right? It's a thing that they brought back. I can't. The last time I've had McDonald's had to be coming back from a concert. Oh, that was the Arch Deluxe. Okay, my bad. Yeah, that dude totally doesn't eat at McDonald's. Just like the guy from Campbell's doesn't eat Campbell's. T-shirt company under fire for a shirt that says "Ride the D." Oh wait a minute, it's not a T-shirt. It's the Metro. It's the Los Angeles Metro. Says "Ride the D."
LA Metro is opening 3 new Purple Line stations on May 8th.
Yeah, the 4-mile expansion runs beneath Wilshire Boulevard, adding stops at Wilshire La Brea, Wilshire Fairfax, and all the way out to Wilshire La Cienega. The $3.7 billion project is the first of 3 phases designed to boost West Side connectivity ahead of the 2028 Olympics. Metro calls it a historic milestone that will make travel faster and more accessible for thousands of daily riders. The Purple Line, or D Line, is one of the Metro's most heavily used rail lines. And Metro is cashing in on the new D Line extension. The agency is selling Ride the D crop tops for $20 and a t-shirt for $21. You can get yours now at shop.metro.net before the extension opens. Crop top.
Not just That's crop not top. The crop top part.
Yeah. No, what were we looking at?
Well,
it's
the slogan,
the phrasing of it sounds a little bit
inappropriate.
Yeah, but I'm hearing like 2 different things. You're.
Do you want to go back and read it?
Yeah.
I'm watching this
this
anchor's reaction to this.
Hold on, let me look at it.
Yeah, I'll be in there in like 2 seconds.
You don't
This
need
is the last story.
D-line extension.
Don't make him discover it.
We're going to Kentucky where a dog
Does it help when you see it?
Oh, I see.
was rescued from a sinkhole.
Say that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
The anchor is cracking me up over
What
here.
they want you to do.
Exactly. That's what they're asking you to do.
You got to do it.
You said it. But
do you want to go back and read it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Did I say something that was inappropriate?
We thought the
you
crop
said
top
what
was the
they
most
put on the shirt.
salacious
Hold on,
part.
let me look at it.
It's fine. You don't need.
D-line extension.
Don't make him discover it.
I still don't.
Okay.
Oh, he doesn't get the joke. That makes it even better. Holy shit. This is amazing. This is a fantastic segment.
That will
He doesn't understand why Ride the D is
for
funny.
Thousands of daily riders. The Purple Line, or D Line, is one of the Metro's most heavily used rail lines. And Metro is cashing in on the new D Line extension. The agency is selling Ride the D crop tops for $20 and a t-shirt for $21. You can get yours now at shop.metro.net before
I think he's just old, my
extension
lord.
opens. Crop top.
Not just
That's
crop
not
top.
the crop top part.
Oh, what were we looking at?
Well,
the
slogan.
the phrasing of it
What was
sounds a
the
little
slogan?
bit.
Inappropriate.
I didn't see it.
You said it. But.
Do you want to go?
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Did I say something that was inappropriate?
We thought the
you
crop
said
top
what
was the
they
most
put on the shirt.
salacious
Hold on,
part.
let me look at it.
It's fine. You don't need.
D-line extension.
Don't make him discover it.
I still don't.
Okay.
Do you see it? Does it help when you see it?
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm not going to say that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
you did say that.
What you to do?
Exactly. That's what they're asking you to do.
You got to do what they want you to do.
I suppose so. We all want to be good citizens.
Right.
You got to do what they want you to do.
We all.
We all want to help the city of LA.
We're doing what we can.
Yes, doing our part.
By riding the D.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, that merch now available.
Yeah.
Check out their website for more information.
Carla, good evening.
Thanks for making me find that.
I love how you thought the
Are you getting on tonight? Because I'm not on the D. I'm not asking you that. Are you getting on stream?
Not really.
That's a little.
'Cause I'm getting ready to raid out.
But okay, crop tops. Some people like them.
They're back.
Some people like D.
He's so innocent.
He is.
So innocent.
I mean, yeah. You're 7-day forecast now.
I got one more awesome story for you. Puppers fell 30 feet into a sinkhole. This happened in Kentucky. I might have to go to a different browser. Not wanting to play with all my ad blockers and shit. Still not wanting to play. Okay. We got this. We're gonna make it happen.
It's $44, and the proceeds go direct progress with repair. And eating other.
What the hell? There it is.
We do not. That'll change soon, so get out and enjoy it. First Alert meteorologist Dan Thomas.
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, this is the dog rescue. Fell 30 feet into a sinkhole. Here's the puppers getting rescued. They're pulling them out. Oh, look at him hanging there. Oh, he looks so scared. He's safe now. Fell into a 30-foot sinkhole. Oh, you can hear him whimper. Sweet baby. Look at that face. I might be back later. Who knows? I'm going to go have tacos. It's Taco Wednesday. Here, we'll go hang out with Dylan Burns. We'll try to make friends. You don't follow me. Mike from PA is trying to say, I unfollowed Mike from PA. I don't remember what it was. Then I noticed everybody had beef with him after I unfollowed him. on Twitter. Apparently, like, people don't like him very much. So I felt vindicated. Light one up, too.